Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss the Real Housewives of Rhode Island, Season 1, Reunion Part 2. And before we get started, let me just say, Rula, Joelen ate you and Brian up. And you can say whatever you want to say, and you can feel however you want to feel about Joellen's doing too much, but you called that woman a liar, and she ate you up. I mean, she chewed. She came out with receipt after receipt after receipt, and those receipts were landing. It was on that couch several times where you had to look back at your no good husband and realize that you are a fool over this man. Rula, I would have filed for divorce right after we walked off that stage. You are still copping pleas for this man, and it's evident that he has lied to you from the beginning. And also, it's clear that there was some overlap, and you were actually the mistress / side chick when he was married to the Spanish teacher. So, babe, this is a hot mess. Rula, to the Rula fans, don't even start. Hey, Jameer, if you see any trolls, get them out. Because the Rula fans, I'm not doing it with y'all today. Don't try it, honey. We are the week of a holiday weekend. I'm in a good mood. It's a summer day, babe. We are on limited hours, okay? Because you guys know the summertime is my time. So I have little patience, okay? So don't come in here with all that mess, all the Rula fans. Your girl looked like a straight dummy standing behind this man who is clearly still involved with this woman. A hot mess. A hot mess. Yeah, thank you, Osmond. Let them know. Thank you, Osmond. Let Rula's people know. Don't even try it today. We're not even doing it. We are not. Zone zoo it, girl. Zone zoo it. Hey, Dark Child 99, thank you for the super chat. Despite what many feel about Detective Joelen, you gotta admit she ate down this whole part 2 of the reunion. I agree. Kudos to her and Andy for indirectly tag teaming a perfect knockout on Brian. This episode was a 10 out of 10. Oh yeah, the way Andy was getting on Brian and Rula, it was chef's kiss. And you know when Andy's annoyed by you, because Brian, all throughout, when you came out, it was, oh, I can't talk about that. I can't talk about that. I can't speak on that. Legal matters. Andy was just like, babe, I didn't bring you out for you to give me this. You better give me something. Andy does not play that. When you get on Andy's stage, you better tell him what he wants to hear. You better tell him something. Don't come on his show saying, oh, I can't speak about that. I plead the fifth on this. He doesn't take kindly to that. Rula, don't let Brian have you out of a job. Okay? Clock in and do your job. All right? A mess. Yes, honey, Andy did do his big one. He did his biggest one. Someone said if Joellen were on Traders, it would be over in a week. Oh, yeah. Listen, honey, Joellen can sniff out like the best of them, honey. Miss Mamas was on point. Yes, Gary even said, why did you come then? He sure did. Hey, Devonta Franklin, thank you for the super chat. If you pay attention, Rula doesn't even look comfortable around Brian. She doesn't. She always looks on edge and barely looks like she wants him to touch her. I feel sorry for her. I feel very sorry for her. I think that I can see if a woman's with a cheating man because she's broke and she knows that if she leaves him, it's going to be real tight and she might be impoverished. But Rula is a wealthy woman on her own. She has her own career. She's successful. She does not need Brian. If I had to guess, she might be the breadwinner. So I just feel like there's no reason for you to stay with this man. He brings nothing to your life. You have a prenup. You are protected. Leave this man. And you have a daughter. You have a young daughter who's like 6 or 7. Rula, you want your daughter to see you being, treated like this by her father? That's okay to show that it's okay to be a cheater and it's okay to be cheated on if you're the woman. It's ridiculous. And also, Rula, I'm going to get you because that jab that you threw at Joellen saying, oh, well, unlike your kids, my kids are attached to me. That was nasty. Now, if Joellen had cursed you out or thrown a shoe at you, I wouldn't have been mad. But yeah, Rula is nasty. I feel sorry for her, a desperado, and her standing behind this no good serial cheating man, who looks like a bloated lobster, is pathetic. But just a hot mess, honey, a hot mess. Yes, it does give extreme pick me for sure, because I don't understand why you're staying with this man. There are no financial benefits. She has money on her own. She's doing well on her own. A mess. Rula's friends are bad influences. I agree. Telling her to grin and bear it. Yes, I think Rula's the type that feels like if I let him go, then that means that the other woman won. It's not about winning or losing. Don't you want your peace? The ultimate win is peace and your self-esteem and your sanity. And you're worried about, well, I don't want the other woman to have him. Let her have him. If your man can be taken by somebody else, let the other person have them. Too many women are stuck on, well, I don't want the other woman to win, but he doesn't want you either. He doesn't want you. So you're holding on to someone who doesn't want you for the sake of, I won. She didn't get him. Some women you don't need to wake up. There are a few Rullas who watch me because some of y'all were mad at my commentary on Rulla at the beginning of this season, and we had it out in the comment section. But if you are Rulla, I pray for your deliverance, and I pray that you find self-esteem to leave that husband of yours. Because some of y'all are in the comments, and clearly you deal with cheating, and I feel sorry for you. And I'm standing 10 toes down on what I'm saying. A hot mess. A hot mess. A hot mess. And honey, saying that you have a husband who's a cheater and no money is not a flex. Okay, you can do bad all by yourself. To have a man, to be married to a man, to be legally tied to a man and be broke, that's a nightmare. I'd rather eat a jean jacket, but that's just me though. But some of the girls, they just want to say they have a husband so bad that anything's better than being single. And I feel sorry for you. God bless. God bless. Okay, God bless and Godspeed. Okay, a hot mess. Hey, okay, and Dee Dee, thank you for the super chat. Watching Brian be exposed by Joelen regarding the divorce timeline gave me secondhand embarrassment. When I tell you I was so gagged, Rulla's face was so cracked. I said, Rulla, if you don't leave this man right now, he has you up here looking a fool. A fool. So you were the side chick the whole entire time. A hot mess. A hot mess, honey. Hey, Jacob, thank you for the super chat. Rhode Island Reddit is saying that Joelen and her ex-boyfriend used it on somebody as teens and the person got hurt. That's why she was sent away. Oh, well, Joelen, if this tea is true, you might as well come out with it now because season 2, just know that you have enemies. You made enemies out of Rosie and Rulla, and they will be coming at you, coming for you, especially that comment that Rulla made at the end when she said, I just feel like other people have skeletons in their closet and they haven't been uncovered yet. And when Rosie said to her, oh, don't worry, just wait until season 2. Joelen, if this is true, expose your own tea before they expose it, okay? A mess. I hope that's not true. She better honey, get your ducks in a row, honey. Spill your own tea. Don't let anybody spill it before you do. Spill your own tea. Without receipts, leave it on Reddit. I agree. Oh, not Thug Ellen, honey. I'm surprised Joelen ain't have their marriage license. She probably was trying to order it. It probably didn't come in time. Listen, honey, I think Rosie's too scared to really go after her. You said, oh, yes, Rosie is plotting, honey. Rula and Rosie are plotting to get Joelen next season. Oh, they are. They for sure. Kelsey is a flop. Oh, now, hold on. Let me just, before we get started, the streets are saying Reality Blurb, along with several other blogs, they're saying that Liz has quit the show. The show was too much for her, allegedly. Allegedly. Liz, if this is true, I think that that's really sad. Well, no, let me reframe that because I'm the first one saying if the show is too much for you, then leave the show, right? We have too many staying on because they want that fame. Liz, let me reframe that. I apologize. If this is true, if the show was too much for you, congratulations that you were able to step away from fame to prioritize your mental health. So I'm not even going to say that. Congratulations to you. I hope that do what's best for you. Do what's best for you, Liz. I am surprised though because it's clear that you did enjoy the fame. You enjoyed the newfound fame. It is showing me that little backlash that you got a few weeks ago, you couldn't handle it. I'm just like, Liz, and I'm not trying to negate anybody's pain, but Liz, in the grand scheme of things, when it comes to Housewives scandals, your whole thing was a drop in the bucket. Okay, we've had a lot of these women deal with a lot worse, and they are still on the show. If you couldn't handle a little bit of backlash over the whole homeless situation, then yeah, you might as well get off the show because it's going to get even crazier as the seasons go on. But I wish you well, Liz. You were entertaining. Something tells me though that you probably will be back on later because I don't see you giving this up entirely. I just don't. So Angela's still getting whacked on Twitter. Exactly. Oh, she's going to prison. Oh, it's because of that case? I heard it was the feds. Oh, I don't think it was the backlash, Brooke. It was personal stuff. Liz heard the Fed sirens. Oh, damn. Oh, it's that stuff with Dino? Because they said that Dino has a whole bunch of that he's peddling around allegedly, and that she was caught up in that allegedly. That's what the streets were saying. The blogs were saying. Well, if that's the case, Liz, that's smart to get off the show and get your affairs in order. Joelen's aunt confirmed the rumor. Oh, damn. You said, child. Liz was vaping on the couch. She couldn't handle this life on camera. I believe the mess. Wait a second. That's what she was doing? I caught that at one point. She took a puff of something. It didn't even register that she was vaping. Oh my gosh. I didn't even really catch that. I was like, oh, was that like a tissue? Did she spit some gum out? I didn't even realize that she was vaping. Oh my gosh. Thank you for I don't know what I thought she was doing. Yes, she was vaping. Just stressed and hot, honey. Child, a mess. All right, y'all. She was vaping and Auntie was annoyed. Yeah, honey, she was puffing. Just a mess. Child, let me tell you something. Liz, do what's best for you and your family. I hope that everything works out. All right? So anyways, y'all, we open up the part 2 with Rula and Joelen going at it, just like they were doing at the end of the first part. Rula's calling her a whore. Joelen says, your husband's a whore. Rula says, put my husband aside. He's a separate conversation. Joelen says, you can't even admit what he did. Rula says it's already been admitted. We already know what he did. He's not a whore. He made a mistake, a bad mistake in a series of choices. So what do we call that, Rula? What do we call a series of choices, which means that he's been doing this for a long time. So what do we call that? But he's not a whore, though. Rula is the definition of male-centered. She will ride or die for that man, but when it comes to another woman, she'll be cursing that woman out, calling her all sorts of names, but have all this grace for men. It is a sickness. I can't stand to see women caping for men because a man would never do that for you. If you're male-centered, I really hope that you find some self-esteem, and I hope that you find some self-worth. I really do. And really get that in check. Go to get some therapy. I really do. If you are the type to side with a man over a woman, check that. Don't tell me in the comments. Do an evaluation. Do I seem to favor men over women? And that's your answer right there. Something's wrong. Something is wrong. Yes, honey, I can't stand pick-me women at all. Rula's losing Brian the way she got him. I agree with that. So now she says, my life is so effing interesting. You can't seem to stop making it your business. It's not that you're interesting, Rula. It's the fact that you called her a liar when your husband's out here slinging his dick around. That's why she's interested, because she wants to prove that she's not a liar. And the sad part is you still refuse to acknowledge that Joelen did not lie about anything. I was waiting for you to say, you know what, Joelen and Gerry, you were right. We apologize for calling you a liar. You still couldn't do that. And also, I was surprised that Gerry didn't check Brian on that whole Ellen comment that he made a few episodes ago at his Arabian Nights party. You want to call my wife a hoe? Gerry should have knocked him out for that. And I was surprised that was not brought up, but I digress. Honey, this is a long episode. We'll be here all day. Now, mind you, I watched the extended version on Peacock. So forgive me if I bring up something that you didn't catch. It's because I watched the extended version on Peacock. That's why. And may I tell you, this episode took forever to get through because it was 59 minutes on Peacock. I said, my God. Today. And taking notes on an hour-long show is like, Lord have mercy. Yeah, they did not. They skipped over a lot. They skipped over a lot. Yeah, okay, we all felt the same way too, right? Because I was like, okay, damn, can we hurry this up? I was like 59 minutes, like enough already. And I mean, at one point, it felt like we were talking about the same thing. It's like enough. We already talked about this in the first part. We're still talking about the same thing. It was like too much. You said, I didn't know it's a length, Brooke. I was having too much fun watching. This is better than part one. It was long for no reason, but it was good. This could have been 3 parts. Yes, they could have done that. They took 100 breaks. I agree. Yes, Jared got off easy. First of all, to have all the husbands out and the majority of the focus was on Brian, that was a waste of our time. I wanted to hear Andy press Jared about Audrey's. How is their marriage doing? Is he making money? Is he contributing to the finances? You know, is he still working 100 hours a week? I was really irritated by that because, you know, I've been on Simple Living and her husband's behinds about the whole Audrey's coffee shop. This could have been 3, Andy, it could have been 3 parts. There was a lot of stuff that was skipped over and I'm annoyed by that. For you to bring everything into 2 parts, it was too much and a lot of stuff got cut out and I was annoyed by that. Yes, it was too much Joelen versus Brian and Rula. I agree. Yes, too long. The middle was just jumbled arguing. I agree. He asked Jared lightly and the husband hellos. But for him to say, that was so lame though, to say, oh, hey, Jared, is your ice machine working? What was that? So Jared put on his good suit, his one good suit to only be asked one question about the ice machine. I was ready to really get into, okay, so how are things going? How's the marriage? Is he still working 100 hours a week? How do you feel about your wife crying in every episode about your marriage being on the brink? Like, Jared was a waste. It was a waste of space. He brought them out there for nothing, in my opinion. Yeah, we don't care about the ice machine. Yes, if you needed 2 extended parts, then a 3rd part would have worked. I agree. Yeah, listen, honey, let's talk. Let's get into it. Baby, his new home in the Hamptons is stunning. But I've been saying that Andy's mind is not on the shows anymore. His mind is on his social life, his kids, his new man, the new beach house. He does not care anymore. Let's move on. Well, honey, we'll be here all day talking about that, child. We'll be here all day because you know how I feel about. That's a separate conversation, honey. Honey, yes, he has other things on his mind about yeah. So anyhow, Joelen says, you asked me for proof and you got the proof. So now Liz jumps in and says, but Joelen, you don't sound like somebody who had good intentions. Joelen says, here's the thing. I did have good intentions at first. Liz says, no, you don't. Everybody knows that you did not have good intentions. So Rula says, go deal with your own life. I'm sure you have enough dirt. Rula, please shut up. She says, everybody in the state knows what you did. Girl, if you know something, then just say it. Like all these little idle threats and these little rumors that you're throwing out and not really saying what it is, either say it or keep it on the playground, Rula. Right now, the facts remain that your husband is no good and he's a cheater. So that's it and that's all. So now, Joelen says under her breath, she got a new nose and a new personality. So now, Andy says, let's hold off on this. We're going to talk about this later, but I want to ask Rosie a question. He reads a viewer question asking, when will her house be completed? Now, a quick question, a quick side note. Wait, can y'all hear me? You said the audio's out. Wait, can you guys hear me? Hold on, y'all. Let me know in the comments. Can y'all hear me? Just let me know, child. I don't want any issues today. Y'all can hear me. Okay, good. Okay, thank God. Okay. Yes, okay, thank God. Thank God. Okay. Audio's good. Okay, thank you. Y'all, please don't scare me. Honey, if you can't hear, you might have me on mute. So check your MacBook, check your TV, check your phone, turn the volume up because they can all hear me. And my Wi-Fi is not going out. The audio is perfect. In and out every now and again. Oh, well, maybe refresh your page, friend, because they can all hear me. Y'all need to refresh. Is your audio try restarted? Yes, it's Rula's people. So wait, hold on, y'all. Was it just me, or did you feel like, why are we circling back to the whole house drama? We already We already talked about this in part 1. Why are we digging up old beef? We already went through this already. I said, Andy, are you forgetting your cue cards? Did you not remember? Are you not remembering that you already asked Rosie about this? Why? Like, it was so weird. We already had Rosie's segment in the first part. It was really confusing. So anyhow, she goes on to say, it's going to be done by mid-July. So Andy says, well, how many square feet? Rosie says, Rich tells me to say it's going to be 5,000 square feet. Kelsey makes a face. Andy goes on to ask Kelsey, is that a satisfactory answer for you? Kelsey says, yeah, I don't care about her house. It's not about the size of her house. I just don't care. You obviously do care. Andy ate that one little thing. Andy said, well, obviously you do care. It looks like you do. I said, get her again. Get her for me. Kelsey's face was stuck. Rosie says, I can clear the whole, Kelsey said at the beginning, she said it was 8,000 square feet. Rosie says, I can clear that up. We were supposed to build a 3rd floor. That's it. So Kelsey says, from what I understand, you had the same plans as the previous owner. Rosie says, no, that's a lie. We don't have the same plan. Let me go get my binder. So now she walks off the stage. Andy says, no, sit back down. We're talking about you right now. If you leave, we're not going to be able to talk about you. Now, Andy, that's not right. Let her get her binder with her receipts, please, because there have been many times where a housewife has walked off at the reunion and you were still talking about them and it was still flowing. Now, all of a sudden well, we can't talk about you if you're not here. Since when? Teresa has walked off multiple times. Somebody walked off a few seasons ago on another franchise. Like, you've been just fine. Amanda on Summer House was off the stage for over an hour. And you guys were still talking about her and the whole mess with her and West. So I'm confused now. Now all of a sudden it is, well, we can't continue if you walk off. I didn't like that. She would have been back in 3 minutes. Exactly. And he does have favorites. Because had that been anybody else, he would have allowed them to walk off and get their receipts. He knew that Rosie's receipts would have cleared Kelsey and Joelen. I didn't like that. He was trying to sun her since it's her first reunion. Okay, wait. I got that same impression too. It did feel like a low key, like, I'm your boss. You don't have any power whatsoever. Because then when she sat down, Andy reads a viewer question about how Dolores said in the press that it felt like Rosie did not like her, and Rosie was the reason why she didn't film that much. Dolores, are you all right? Dolores, you are a veteran on New Jersey. You've been on Housewives for a decade now. I know good and well that you are not blaming a first season housewife on a new franchise about she's the reason why I didn't film. That's lame. That's a bold-faced lie. Dolores, that doesn't even make any sense. I don't know why you would say that. And then when Rosie was like, really? She said that? Andy, do I have that much power? And so Andy was like, no, you don't have that much power. You don't have any power at all. The way he said that was so nasty and so smug. I said, oh, he just sunned you about going to get those receipts. Now he's going to say, well, you don't have any power at all. I said, damn. Andy, it was definitely clear that you don't care for Rosie that much, because this attitude you gave her was kind of weird. Dolores is not necessary for the show. Dolores sound like a weirdo. Dolores tried it. Rose does not have that power. Girl, you serve no purpose. You are a waste of a check, honey. Do we even need Dolo on New Jersey? Dolores, you didn't even get confessionals or an invite to the reunion. You were already filming on Jersey. Andy was so shady. That's how I felt too. And yeah, he was. He really was. Because baby, that whole thing was, no, you don't have any power. Sit down. You don't control anything over here. That was a cute little wrist tap. Like, yeah, babe, remember who signs your checks. That's me. It was a real, just remember where your bread is buttered. And baby, I'm the boss. I said, oh, okay. All right. Yeah, the energy was nasty. Andy, I had to be honest. The energy was real spicy when it came to Rosie. I wasn't here for that. So Rosie says, listen, when it comes to Dolores, I met her a handful of times. I liked her. I thought she was nice. I had no idea that she felt this way. So now there's another question about her having colitis. She's the first housewife to admit that she was bleeding out of her butt. Did she really have to leave her job because she had to wear diapers? Rosie says, listen, I went on medical leave because of my colitis. Then I realized that I don't miss having to get up at 2 a.m. She's been doing that for over 10 years. Again, why are we circling this again. We already discussed this rumor that Kelsey brought up about Rosie was having an affair with a married man, and that's why she had to leave her job at the news station. We already went over this. Why are we bringing up old stuff again? Can we skip this part? I was getting annoyed. I can't stand Kelsey, and then we already spoke about this. Why are we repeating it's old news at this point? It was weird. Jameer, I see your comment. Listen, Jameer, listen, that's a conversation for off camera. Okay. I think a lot of us listen. Jameer, I think a lot of folks feel the same way, but we'll talk off camera in private. Okay. This whole thing was a waste of time. Kelsey still won't let up about, she thinks that there was an affair. Kelsey, you are a hateful woman. That's the long and the short of it. You are jealous of Rosie and you need help. That's it. This woman had a major health issue, and you're still going to say that you don't believe her, that she was having an affair? Nasty work. Rosie says, the reality is I have documentation. It's in my briefcase. I should have, and also, Rosie, you should have brought the receipts with you. I would not have left it in my dressing room. I would have brought the briefcase out with me. I would have put it behind the couch and brought it out as I saw fit. That's just me, though. Again, Kelsey is just a weirdo. So now Andy turns to Alicia and he's like, Alicia, how did you meet Billy? Was it love at first sight? Alicia says, no, he was a stalker. He was really persistent. That's how he won me over. Alicia, before we get to your segment, right? I'm not going to hold you. I like you. You're a breath of fresh air. You're funny. But I'd be lying if I said that this whole dumb blonde shtick is kind of wearing me thin. And girl, you're in danger. The questions regarding the money, I said, oh, no. You don't have access to your money? Absolutely not. Get yourself together. Alicia, get yourself together. Alicia, I was alarmed during the full 15 minutes of your segment. I didn't find this funny, endearing, cute, whimsical. It was pure stupidity. And you're laughing like it's funny. It's not funny. It's not funny at all. And I'm concerned. I'm really concerned for you. And I need you to get it together quickly. Immediately. Again, this whole dumb blonde act, it's like Kathy Hilton turned up a notch. Because one thing about it, Kathy Hilton might play a dumb blonde, but she's actually very ruthless. And trust and believe that nobody is managing her money, her and Rick's money, without her. She's looking at every single dollar. She has access to her money. You need to get on the right track. A mess. Yeah, no, it was annoying. Okay, I was getting really annoying. Yes, you said it's giving Kathy Hilton and it failed. Listen, no, it is giving that. I think that, Alicia, there's a part of me that feels like the whole fan fave and the audience loving you and finding you so funny, you're playing up to that. And Miss Mamas, I'm just letting you know right now, do not let the fans gas your head up, because I can assure you, if you go into seasons 2 and 3 with this whole dumb blonde shtick, it's going to get old. Same with Kathy Hilton. Everybody loved it at first until they were like, okay, girl, it's enough already. All right? So tone it down on the whole dumb blonde bit, and let's get back into reality, and let's get serious for 2 minutes, please. It wasn't cute at all. It was sad AF. It was. Better call Sutton, honey. I agree. Yes, honey, don't let the fans let you lose it. No, it's true. Please, listen. Keep a level head. I understand it feels good that the fans love you and gas you up, but keep a level head. Just know that at any time, it can always turn. And don't play up to what the fans want. Just keep being you. When you overdo it, that's where the trouble starts. And that goes for everybody who's in the public eye. A mess. Yes, honey, stop making these plays for these men and wise up. I agree. So she says that he beat her down metaphorically. And now Andy's like, when's the wedding? When is the wedding date? She says, well, no, I don't have any wedding dates in mind, but I am talking about it. I actually want to I'm thinking about getting married in Greece. I like the whole thing with, Greeks and Italians, like the movie Mamma Mia. So now was it me, or did it also feel like everything out of Alicia's mouth, she was trying to be funny? Like, when, like we were just saying a few minutes ago, when you're playing up to the audience, it kind of gave that Alicia was trying too hard to be funny. It really was. Everything out of her mouth was a ditzy moment. The whole Mamma Mia thing. It just read that she was trying too hard. It wasn't effortless. Yes, she wanted to soundbite at all costs. Yes. We see each other, honey. Yes, honey. You said their love story was sad AF. Listen, we'll talk. We will talk. Yes, she does. Okay, so we all felt the same way. Yes, the whole Jane's Fondas girl, she kept saying it, and even Andy wasn't amused. He was like, okay, girl, like, you had your moment. It's enough now. She said Jane's Fondas 5 times in 5 seconds. I said, okay, girl, you're hamming it up. You are reaching for a laugh. I love a good joke. I love a good laugh, but babe, it's you got to know when to say when. Yes, it's giving Angie K. Yes, it is. It is. Honey, when I tell you we are all here. We are one band, one sound. I'm so happy that we all felt the same way, because I was like, does anybody else feel this way too? We can't have anything nice. The Angie K of Rhode Island. Yes. Yes, I think that I Love a Cracker will be the new receipts proof timeline. Oh, yeah. Child, when she said that whole thing about I Love a Cracker again during her segment, I said, now, Alicia, the 15 minutes are up, babe. It's enough already. She's about to beat this I Love a Cracker thing down to the ground like Heather Gay on Salt Lake City. I said, enough. Honey, when I tell you I love y'all down, I love y'all because when I tell you we are all here, honey, we are all on the same page. You said let it go, honey. I love that Angie K is now the rubric for being thirsty. Yes, honey, no, she really is. Yes, no, she really is. She is, honey. I peeped Angie K from jump. Love her down, but she does too much and doesn't land a lot of the times. It was a whack line to me from the jump. Now, Dark Child, I'm screaming. You weren't here for Alicia in the first place. I remember you were like, no, okay, that whole thing was kind of. She was you weren't really here for her. If I remember correctly, you were not really here for her like that. It was it you or it was somebody else. I think it was you. You were not really here for her from jump. Oh my! I love y'all, babe. When I tell you we see each other, honey. Angie K is a perfect thirsty standard. Watch her use it for her season 2 tagline. Oh, Osmond, I think so. I can see that. That cracker thing is corny. I agree. Okay, yes. Okay, yes, Dark Child. You were never here you never saw it for her. You were all like, okay, like, y'all can have it, but I'm not really here for this whole dumb blonde shtick. Yeah, you were never here for her. I'm screaming, honey. I am screaming. So anyway, y'all. She goes on, Andy goes on to ask, we know that Billy works 1 million hours, but yet he still takes time to drive your daughter Selena to dance class. Has anything changed? We know that Billy wants her to start driving more. She's scared of driving. He wants her to start driving their daughter to dance class at least once or twice a week. So Alicia says, nope, I don't drive her. It's an hour there and back. I get anxious. So now Andy's asking if she drives short distances. She says anything. She says, of course, all the time. She says anything over 20 minutes, she has to think about it. It gives her anxiety. So now Andy says, let's talk about the crackers. A lot of people want to know if you're going to come out with your own line of crackers. Alicia says, yes, I'm working on making my own crackers. I'm working with oyster crackers. Andy says, oh, okay, cool. Now, Angela, we were talking about you in yesterday's Atlanta Live. This is how you capitalize on a moment. Alicia only has 1 season under her belt, And already she's having a cracker collaboration while you were on season 2 of your franchise, and you have yet to come out with those fans. The girls went on your website and let me know in the comment section that on your website, the fans still are not available for purchase. By the time you drop those fans, Angela, nobody's going to care. You have to strike while the iron is hot. Alicia saw the moment and she's already collabing to make her money. A mess, honey. A mess. So anyhow, she goes on to say that, Andy goes on to ask her, how does she stay so lean if she eats so many crackers? She says it's because of Jane's Fondas. My aunt put me onto Jane's Fondas. I do Jane's Fondas every day. Alicia, it just gave you were trying too hard for a laugh. You were trying, like, mama, this whole thing. And even Andy looked at you like this with the whole Jane's Fondas thing. He's like, okay, girl, you have to wear this out, aren't you? I said, honey. So Andy goes on to ask, has she gotten more of a stake with Pizza Mama? She says, I'm getting some of it. I get some of the money for the merch. I really don't know. So now Andy says, Kelsey, as somebody who knows how to get men to pay for things, what do you think Alicia should do? So Kelsey says, well, having your own bank account is probably first and foremost something that he can't touch. Because when it comes to your money from the show, your endorsements and your cameos, now one thing, if you guys know anything about Andy hates when they bring up the money from the show. Unless he brings it up, he does not like for you to bring it up that you guys that they get paid from the show, which is so dumb. We all know they get paid and get paid very well. So when he interrupted Kelsey, I thought that was kind of weird. It's like, Andy, you do know that we know that they get a lot of money. So like, why are you interrupting her? It was bizarre. Now, Kelsey trying to school somebody on finances is hilarious when she just learned how to write a check 6 months ago. Miss Mom has just opened up her first bank account 6 months ago and just learned how to write a check. So you trying to school Alicia on what to do, it's the blind leading the blind. It's so weird. Yes, it is forbidden. He does not like to, for some reason, he's still like, it's weird. Andy wants he wants the audience to act like they're doing this for their health. Like they're doing this for free. For some reason, he wants the audience to still be in the shadows of they actually get paid big money for this. Like he wants us to forget that it is a job. I don't know why. The cat is out the bag. It's so dumb. It's so weird. So now Andy's like, wait, do you not have your own bank account? Alicia says, well, I do, but my money goes into, there's a woman in charge of my money now. Andy's asking, do you know this woman? Alicia says, well, we text. This woman is in charge of everything. Billy put her in charge. So Andy's like, wait, so when you need money, do you ask the woman or do you ask Billy? She says, I ask Billy because I don't want to text the woman. I don't want to ask Sarah, that's her name. Can I have this? Where's that? I'm going to let you know right now. Hold on. Because when I tell you we see each other down, she sounded insane. You are absolutely correct. I was shocked at what I was hearing. Alicia, this is not cute. This is not funny whatsoever. There is no way on God's green earth that somebody else is in charge of my money. I don't even care if I'm married. That is not happening. I'll be damned. Women fought too hard for equal rights. Okay? Our grandmothers couldn't even get a bank account back in the day. And for you to give up your autonomy like this is crazy. Why don't you have access to your money? It's very unsafe. No, she did. Honey, when I tell you she irritated me so bad, This is not cute and it's not funny, Alicia. Her poor daughter. I agree. She's making this up. This is absurd. Alicia, how are you not interested in a little bit about your finances? Probably signing papers without reading. I agree. Talking about how she gets bored. Grow up. I agree. Alicia upset me. Girl, stand up now. Alicia made it seem like Billy was holding the money over her head. Meanwhile, she's saying the financial meetings are so boring. I don't want to hear that. A mess. Yes. And also, even Andy clocked you, Alicia, because at one point when Billy came out, he was like, now hold on. He said, from what I'm hearing, I sympathize with you, Billy, because it sounds like you're not the bad guy here. Alicia's just too dumb to want to realize what's going on. It is worrisome. She does act like a child. It's ridiculous. And also, Alicia, knowing how you went through a traumatic event with your father, pulling the rug from under you and your mom, you would think that you would care about your finances. You should not want any man, I don't care if that is your husband, controlling your money. Whatever you make, that's your money. It's in your account, okay? His money is your money. Your money is your money. I could not imagine. I said, what in the Stone Ages is this? Alicia, it's time to grow up. Yes, I caught the shade that he threw about Teresa when he was like, well, you know, it sounds like somebody else who signed things without reading them. I caught that shade. Arrested Development, I agree. So now, she goes on to say that Sarah, the financial advisor who's controlling her money, did show her the statements. So Andy says, well, you know, word to the wise, a tip from me to you, you're potentially about to make the most money that you've ever made. You need to get a handle on what you're making and where it's going. Babe, that was code for Miss Mama's, you're about to be a millionaire, so you might want to get a handle on things immediately. Because you know Andy wants all the credit about he put these women on. Because you notice how when they always say, thank you, Andy, I wouldn't have all this without you. He was low-key saying, girl, I'm putting you on to a platform so big, it's about to blow you out the water. Okay? I'm about to have you're about to be a millionaire because of me. So you might want to have everything squared away, and you might want to know what's going on, and you might want access to your own money that you're about to be making. Alicia, you need to listen. You need to listen, and you need to stop this because you sound crazy. So now, Alicia says, you know, I never paid attention to it. I never cared. What does that mean? I never cared. You never cared about your money? Here's my thing, right? Like, let's just talk. I don't even care if Alicia blows all her money. You need to have access to your money. Like I'm always the type where whether I spend or save, whether I blow my money or don't, let it be because of me. I don't want somebody else having control over my money. Let me decide what I want to do with it. If I want to be reckless with money and spend it all, let me be the one to do that. I don't need anybody else holding it. Does that make sense? Whatever you decide to do, whether spend, save, do a bit in the middle, let it be your decision. There are too many stories of these people running off with folks' money. Don't let somebody be in control of your money. You need to be in control of that. And you're talking about, you know, I never cared. Alicia, what are you saying right now? You sound ridiculous. And she has a daughter. Exactly. I can't believe the words that she was saying. The whole season was her making Bill look like the bad guy, but it's her. Yes. It's on her. Yes. And Alicia, let me just whack you because you had all of us cursing Billy out. And the whole time is you on some BS. This is very sad. Alicia's acting like Billy did her like Wells Fargo did Wendy. Yes, she had all of us thinking that Billy had her hemmed up and you know he had her as a prisoner in her finances. And the whole time it's Alicia giving away her freedom and her power and her autonomy. She might end up the real deal kind of homeless. Listen, honey, a mess. Alicia is an airhead. When I tell you, the only reason why I didn't fast forward through her part was because I had to talk about this with y'all and I wanted to be thorough and specific with everything, right? I wanted to be on point with the details and the notes, but I'd be lying if I said that I didn't feel the same way, because I was getting irritated by this conversation. She was pissing me off bad. She sounded dumb. Alicia talking out both sides of her mouth. She's speaking a different narrative now. I agree. I was really, yeah. Oh my gosh. When he brought those papers out, oh my gosh. Listen, friend, we'll talk about that later. She pissed me off so bad with that. I said, Alicia, you need to grow up. Yes, the accountant who stole Rihanna's money. That's how we got bitch better have my money. Exactly. So now Andy reads a viewer question asking, why won't Alicia get a lawyer to draft up a better prenup? Billy can either put up or shut up. Alicia says, we were going to do that, but I almost was like, F you. The whole way he went about it made me shut down. It made me realize that marriage is not a fairy tale. It's a business. Now, Alicia, when Billy comes out, we find out that he was willing to give you what you wanted in the prenup. So you're over here telling lies. Billy came out and said, no, babe, I was willing to give you whatever you wanted in the prenup. You just decided not to sign it for whatever reason. Billy said he was willing to give you whatever you wanted, babe. Alicia, you need to stop this. Stop playing dumb and get right. Get yourself together. Please get yourself together. You guys are about to start filming season 2 real soon. Get yourself together. This is not cute. You sound ignorant and you sound dumb. So now Andy's like, who here has a prenup? Rula is the only one with a prenup. I said, now, Ashley, honey, you need to get yourself a post-nup, because the way Jared and this coffee shop is going, you're about to be the breadwinner. Girl, watch out. So Rula says, we each have our own prenup. It was my idea. Andy says, I bet. So now Andy's like, Alicia, is your name on the house yet? Alicia says, well, my name is in a trust. I have no idea what a trust is, and that frustrates me. Alicia, now hold on. Now stop, because I don't like that. You are a grown woman. We all have these mini computers in our hands all day, every day. All you have to do is Google what a trust is. Stop. There is no excuse to be ignorant in this day and age. Information is right at our fingertips. That's why I have an issue when folks ask the most basic questions like, oh, where'd you get that? Or how'd you find that out? Just Google what's a good restaurant in this city. How do I do this? How do I pay my Amex bill? If you know, you know. There's no reason to be dumb and clueless when Google is right there. Google is too free for folks to be out here acting so ignorant. Stop. You don't have to be frustrated when you can Google what a trust is and find out in less than 5 seconds. So Andy's like, Rula, can you explain what a trust is? Rula explains what it is. Alicia's still confused. She says that, Billy's an attorney. When he tells me about all this stuff, I get bored. That's how he got over on me, because I get bored easily. Alicia, none of this is cute. I understand that it's not sexy and it is boring, but a Google search and educating yourself is not going to kill you. You sound ridiculous. You sound ridiculous. Ashley says, Alicia, as I've gotten to know you and Billy, I do believe that he wouldn't leave you without half. Billy's a good man. Alicia says, he's all right. Girl, if he's just all right, then why do you want to marry him? Like, Alicia, if I'm being honest, it seems like you and Billy are like roommates more than you guys are lovers. I feel like the romance and the love has died between you guys. You guys share a child, your beautiful daughter, and that's it. I don't know. I feel like if he's just all right and you're just not impressed by him and he annoys you, then why get married to this man? It's weird. So now Andy goes on to ask Rosie if she is 50-50 on the house with Rich. Rosie says, yes, I actually paid for the house myself. Rich paid for half too. I sold my condo, then put the money down. So of course, Joelen and Kelsey exchange dirty looks. Kelsey, again, you look jealous. Joelen, you look pressed. I don't know what your issue is with Rosie, but it needs to stop. You guys both look so jealous. Rosie says, you guys can look at each other all you want. I have the paperwork. I said, get him again. So Kelsey says, well, just so you know, I know that you have 2 mortgages on your house, babe. The jealousy jumped out. What do you mean that you know that she has 2 mortgages on her house? Why do you know that? And why do you care? And where's your house, girl? I'll wait. Like, you are so jealous. And you can't hide the jealousy and the envy. It is seeping out of your pores, girl. Like, you just sound crazy. That's not a gotcha moment. And Rosie said, girl, it's a construction loan. We bundled it up together. And your point is? And then the fact that you knew the price of how much they paid for the house, that was super weird. When you were like, oh, well, I know that you don't have the money. You don't have the $689,000 to pay for that house outright. How do you know she doesn't have that kind of money in her bank account? Jealousy. For you to be pocket watching that hard is alarming. You knew the price of her house and everything. That is scary. That's crazy work. Loser behavior. Loser behavior. Now, if she had clocked you at the 1-bedroom apartment that you're in, then it would have been a problem. Honey, she is so jealous. No, she really is. Baby, that is, when I talk about keeping tabs on somebody, that is the epitome of keeping tabs on somebody. Kelsey, you are going out sad. You can't even hide your jealousy, babe. That blue looks good on you, but green is not your color. The jealousy was oozing out of your pores. But what really sealed the deal for me was when you said the price of her house. I said, oh, babe, you have really lost it. It is an obsession. Who paid for that Range Rover? Exactly. A mess. Kelsey, what's your status at the bank? Listen, honey. Does she want Rosie's husband? Why is she so upset? It's giving that. It's giving that she either wants Rosie or Rich. She might want both. Desperation, holes for money, honey. Kelsey, get your health insurance locked in. Even billionaires have multiple mortgages. Honey, it is ridiculous. She doesn't care enough, though. Sure, Jan. Exactly. The same woman who doesn't care about her. I wouldn't even want to be friends with Kelsey. I agree. Rosie better wise up, keep her at arm's length. I agree. Bill paying her car. No, stop it, Kelsey. Exactly. Yes. Meanwhile, living with a boyfriend in a rental. Kelsey, shut up. Exactly. I think she wants Ashley's friendship. She's a fan of hers. Remember? Yes. So several of y'all clocked that in my comments in the last recap, where y'all were like, you think that Kelsey is jealous of the friendship that Rosie has with Ashley. That makes complete sense. She has vertical blinds, white refrigerator, linoleum floors. Kelsey couldn't say a damn thing to me. Clock it, honey. A mess. So now, Rula was like, why do you care if she has a mortgage? Many people have mortgages. Why is that a bad thing? So Andy's like, did you look up her mortgage information? Kelsey says, somebody sent it to me. We know that it was Joelen and Gerry. Rosie says, oh, yeah, I'm sure it was Gerry because he works in mortgages. And Joelen was just sitting there. I said, yeah, Joelen. I said, now, Joelen, when it comes to you getting Rula, I'm here for it. But this mess with Rosie, you look crazy. Why do you care so much about Rosie and her mortgage? You look really jealous, Joelen. It's weird. So Kelsey's like, you're just making it seem like, I can't afford a house. You can afford a house. When you went from your ex's house to a 1-bedroom apartment, you can't afford a house. And that's okay. God bless. Hopefully, if you stay on this show, you'll be able to buy a house and own something. But right now, that day is not today. And there's no shame in that, Kelsey. So now Rosie was like, listen, it's clear that I have hurt you to your core, and I am sorry at whatever I said that has upset you where you have this much hate for me. I am sorry. So Andy's like, do you accept her apology? Of course, Kelsey does not accept it. She's just like, well, all I'm saying is actions speak louder than words. You're just as bad as me. I'm not the only mean girl. We've both been bad to each other. Rosie says, no, girl, you've attacked me all season long. I just now attacked you back. That's it. That's all. I said, again, Rosie, let her know that it's been a one-sided beef with her. and not you. She's the one fighting the air. You have not had an issue with her. She's had an issue with you from jump. Kelsey, you're a weirdo. Plain and simple, you're weird. Joelen, you trying to defend Kelsey is crazy work. Shut up. When it comes to you and Rulla, stick to clocking Rulla. When it comes to you and Rosie, just be quiet. You know that Kelsey's wrong and you guys are both jealous of Rosie for whatever reason. Just stop. I was really pissed. Yes, and Rosie pissed me off because I would not have apologized to Kelsey either. I said what I said and I meant it. And I did hurt your feelings and I don't care because you tried to hurt mine for a whole year now. Hey, Jacob, thank you for the super chat. Joellen has those psycho crazy eyes. I noticed that. I peeped them all throughout this reunion. I was like, yeah, Joellen is good and crazy. She's good and crazy. Hey, Jacob, thank you for the super chat. Andy's punishing Rosie for exposing Kelsey's life was a lie. Oh, I could see that. Hey, High Vibe, thank you for the super chat. Rula and Brian are an unmarried couple, and Rula is still a side chick, but she got a child. Can't confirm a wedding date. Shaking my head. Yes, when that came out, I was gagged. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Hey, Cat Sky, thank you for the super chat. So basically, Dino is worth quitting a major hit show. Well, okay then. Honey, a mess. Hey, Robert B, thank you for the super chat. Brian, I can't answer that, Brian. It's a legal matter. Brian, unfortunately, I can't answer that, so you're more than useless. I agree. Andy was fed up. Hey, Donna Ferg, thank you for the super chat. Somebody please give Alicia Brooke's email, please, immediately, because Alicia needs help. Hey, OK and Dee Dee, thank you for the super chat. These grown women who refuse to be financially literate makes me think they're avoiding adulthood, almost like they don't want to grow up and have responsibilities. I agree. Hey, Shame Inc., thank you for the super chat. Accountant here. Watching Alicia talking about collaborations with a cracker company, there will be contracts, royalties, branding deals. This dumb blonde thing is for the birds. I agree. And Andy told her, you're about to be making money hand over fist. You're about to be touching millions of dollars. If you play your cards right, you're about to be touching big money. Get your affairs in order and become financially literate immediately because this whole thing is not working. It's not working at all. Joellen is vengeful. She won't let up if you cross her. And I feel that because I feel that. I do feel that. But she still has crazy eyes, though. So now we have Andy's like, okay, let's take a break. The husbands are backstage. We have Billy busting Brian's chops. He's like, oh, who are you texting? They all start laughing. So now you have, I think, Rich asking Billy, whose side is he on? Team Rosie or Team Kelsey? So Billy says, obviously Kelsey, she's my little slam pig. They all start laughing. Billy, Alicia's fiance, says that he actually liked the fight between Rosie and Kelsey at trivia night. Hearing Jared in the background with the trivia questions and their fighting was hilarious. So now we get back on stage and Andy's asking Liz, how many years has she been with Gerry? Liz says almost 22 years, give or take a few stints off and on, meaning they've had some stints where they were separated. It hasn't been the full 22 years. Respectfully, can you really claim all that time if a lot of time was spent separated? Now, all the married people don't answer all at once, but I feel like when cheating's involved and there were stints of separation, can you really claim the full 20 or 30 years? I feel like you should only be able to claim the years that were actually good when there was no cheating, but I digress. Let me be quiet before the married folks get mad at me like they always do. But yeah, that was telling. That was very telling. Okay. So we see each other, friend. You got to cut 5 years off. Stints on and off, tomato, honey. And the separation doesn't include the time he was on that boat. Yeah, no, it doesn't. It's and also, see, Andy, that's where I have to get you. It's clear that you are getting lazy. And I get it. You have a boatload of money. You want to enjoy your life and not always be working all the time. I get that. But you failed us, the audience, because we didn't get the juice about the real ins and outs of their marriage. I was waiting to hear Andy press Liz and Gerry when he came out on the stage about, listen, you guys have been separated many times. What happened? Was there cheating? How long were the separations? Was it at the beginning of the marriage, the end, the middle? Like, there were so many questions that we could have gotten more answers on when it came to Liz and Gerry. And he just skipped right past it. I was annoyed. I was really irritated. We all have jobs and families and lives, but not missing the details. Hire somebody else. Listen, friend, honey, you know how these folks are going to hold on to the job till the wheels fall off. They don't want anybody else. Well, honey, that's another topic. We talk about that every once in a while. We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that on another live, honey. He wasn't clocked in here. Yes, I wanted to know more about Liz and Gerry and Dino. They just glossed over all that. I was so irritated. Honey, listen, no, we are. I was disappointed. We spent too much time on Rula and Brian and their foolishness and not enough time on the stuff that mattered. So now Rula laughs and says, oh, it happens. A mess. Isn't marriage supposed to be binding till forever? I didn't know that. So, okay, well, that's good to know. Marriage means that you have stints of separation. And so that's good to know. That's good to know. You want to claim 22 years, but you spent 10 years separated. Got it. Let's move on. For the married folks, tell me to mind my business. Shout out to the married folks. Congratulations. Happy birthday. You said consider the source, honey. Okay, exactly. So now Andy says, you know what? I get it. Everybody needs a break every now and again. So now Andy, I guess we're on Kelsey's segment. Andy's like, Kelsey, when you were competing for Miss USA, the announcer said that you had been struck by a drunk driver. You had a brain tumor, and they said it's not a rumor. The doctors removed that tumor. Kelsey says, yup, I had no idea they were going to say that on the stage. She said that in 2014, she was hit by a drunk driver. Her ex's brother was a lawyer, and she said that I wanted to compete in the pageant, so I asked to hold off on the brain surgery, and then I would have it after. She says the tumor was the size of a golf ball. If I didn't get it removed, she would have lost all of her peripheral vision. When they cut to Rosie's face, Rosie was just like, okay, girl, this sob story about this tumor that I don't believe, got it. I said the same way she threw shade at your ailment, you don't have to feel a way about, don't feel sympathy about hers either, Rosie. Because had you been the one who said that you had a tumor, she would be saying that you were a liar. So Kelsey, you can't expect all the sympathy from Rosie when you didn't give her any sympathy about her ailment and her bleeding out of her butt. So now Andy reads a comment about the rumor online that Kelsey was an escort who charged $29,000 for dinner and dessert. Kelsey says, I've never sold any of my holes for money. I have the proof of me going to the state barracks for getting harassed by somebody. So Andy's like, well, were you able to find the person who made up this rumor? Kelsey says, I have no idea. I think it was an actual escort in Boston. We were hanging out with the same crew of people. They said that birds of a feather flock together. The way that Andy looked at her like, oh, okay, so you weren't an escort, but you were friends with escorts. Got it. Now, hold on. I'm not shaming escorts whatsoever. Shout out to the escorts, to the working girls. Shout out to y'all. There is no shade from me, but I think it's funny that you weren't one, but you were hanging out with a bunch of them from Boston. So, yeah, the way Andy looked at her like, oh, okay, got it. Okay, all right. Okay, honey. They're working together, honey, turning tricks together, okay? You guys are so funny. Oh, my gosh. Kelsey was laying it low and spreading it wide. Yes, honey, it is work. It is work. That's a hard day's of work. So Kelsey says, Oh no, Andy reads a viewer question asking Kelsey, when you were with your ex, you said that you had an agreement. Can you explain exactly what the agreement was? Kelsey says, first things first, there was no agreement. That's why I don't align with the polyamory title of it all. They all looked at her like, okay, Kelsey, it's clear that you got on this show lying about your actual storyline. You came on the show saying that you guys had an agreement. Now, all of a sudden, it's, oh no, there wasn't an agreement. No, it's not that. So what was it then? Just own it. It was an agreement. Like what are we talking about here? Like, it's so stupid. So, wait, your comment? I am screaming, honey. I am yelling so loud. Listen, no shame in anybody's game, okay? Break the knee pads out. Let's move on. Let's move on, honey. Let's just move on. Let's move on, because I was going to say something. Let's just move on, honey. Move on to the next thing. Move on to the next thing, okay? Honey, some knee pads and throat spray, okay? Have a good night. All right. Let's move on. So now, Andy says, but you did know that he was seeing other people. Kelsey says, yes, I learned things the longer I was with him, that there was somebody else, and then it would go away, and then it was a free-for-all. So Andy was like, were you ever jealous? Kelsey says, at the beginning, when there was another person in another state, but we met up with each other, and we had a mutual agreement that we would not post him online. And then it was like, out of sight, out of mind. She's another state over. It doesn't matter. So now you hear the sirens coming for you, Kelsey, because you just sound so dumb. So now Andy goes on to ask, does anybody here know the other woman, his other girlfriend? Liz says, yes, I met her a few times. Joelen also says yes. Baby, these sirens are out today. They won't stop. My God. I'm like, who's hurt? Who's sick? Who's ill? Is it the ambulance? They won't stop, the sirens. My God. So now she goes on to say, Liz says, yes, I met her a few times. Joelen says, yes, I met her as well. So Andy's asking if she's still with him. Kelsey says, no, they haven't been together since 2020. Kelsey, you want that man back. Your face was so tight when Andy asked if he's still with the other woman. And you were like, no, they split up in 2020. I said, girl, you sure? How do you know? He very well might be with her still. You're not with him. That's all that matters. Why do you care about who he's with now? Girl, you are still pressed and bothered about that man kicking you to the curb because you want him back. You do. She was hurt. So Andy's like, does he have a new girlfriend? Kelsey says, I'm sure he has women that he takes out, but I don't know if he has another girlfriend. So Andy brings up how he was dating Paula Abdul. She says, yeah, before he started dating me. We used to go up to her house and stay with her when I was with him, when we would go to LA. They're still friendly. So now we find out that she met her ex at the same tanning salon that Joelen worked at, because the owner of the tanning salon and her ex are best friends. Now, I was surprised that Andy did not ask Joelen about the threesome that occurred. Remember how Kelsey exposed in the first episode that Joelen slept with the tanning salon owner and the tanning salon owner's wife? They had a threesome. They didn't bring that up. I was surprised about that. So now Andy goes on to say, your ex originally wanted to be on the show, then he changed his mind. Kelsey says, yeah, it was before he knew that it was Housewives. When he found out that it was Housewives, he was like, nope, not happening. These girls are not going to talk about me, and I have no control over it. Andy says, well, interesting interestingly enough, he was talked about all the time. What was his reaction to the show? Kelsey says that he loved the show. And now Andy goes on to ask, where is she living now? Kelsey says, I live with Bill now. Kelsey, you really can't stand on your own. I think it's sad that you can't live on your own. That is such a beautiful thing as a woman to live on your own. And for you to just go and live with Bill now, you don't want your independence. Like, that's actually sad to me. You had a nice apartment. It seemed like it was downtown. And now you just want to go from man to man. Like, girl, I guess, honey. She couldn't afford that apartment for more than 2 months. She thinks this is cute. A mess. What happens if Bill breaks up with you? I agree. Just a mess, honey. She couldn't afford that rent. But now I'm not trying to be funny. I feel like the rent in Rhode Island is reasonable. No, yes. I feel like surely the rent in Rhode Island can't be, is the rent in Rhode Island that high? Let me know, y'all. If any Rhode Islanders are in the chat, let me know. Is it that high that she can't take care of the rent in Rhode Island? With a Bravo check, she can't afford rent. You said, don't do it, Brooke. It's definitely not New York rent. No, I'm just, honey, as a New Yorker, I'm just saying, we know about high rents over here. It's reasonable. That's what I'm saying. Brooke said it cannot be New York City prices. Kelsey has money. Don't let the show confuse you. You said she'll be able to afford independence after season 2. Surely her Bravo check covered it. Can't afford health insurance too. It depends on the neighborhood. Sean, you said, I think she did not want to pay it. Once the ex stopped paying, she booked it to live with a new man. Oh my gosh. You said housing costs in Rhode Island are very high. Child, she can do $2,500 for a 2-bedroom. I agree. Brooke is in her Iyanla tough love era. Don't do me, honey. New York is another level. You got to be papered up, honey. You do. Where are these alleged coins? Maybe 1,300. 2,500 should not be too much for her. I agree. She's making a cute coin on the show. Child, let's just move on. Let's move on. I don't want any beef or any smoke with Rhode Island people. Rhode Island people, and my funky Dineva voice, please don't get mad at me. I'm just asking a question. So now, you guys have Andrew. You have me screaming with your comment. Andrew has me screaming. Andy goes on to ask, who's paying her bills now? Kelsey says, Bill's paying for my car, and I pay for my own health insurance. Andy says, nice. So now Andy says, Liz, at dinner that you had with Joelen and Kelsey, you mentioned how an ex-boyfriend of yours paid for things. Does anybody else have a relationship just like that? Rulla, have you ever had that? Rulla says no. Kelsey says, oh, you're missing out. And now she starts laughing. So now Andy's like, Rulla, how are you and Brian doing? Rulla pauses and looks away. Rulla says, we're doing a lot better, Andy, day by day, working on things. A mess. Andy says, show of hands. Who thinks Rulla was really sick? They all raise their hands. Rulla says it didn't seem like it. Ashley says it was stress-induced for sure. Joelen even says, girl, it was mental. It was causing havoc on your body. Alicia even says your body breaks down when you're stressed. Rula does admit that it was the stress piling on of Brian's affair. She says that she was in the hospital twice and on her back for 14 days. She goes on to say the entire summer was stressful. Andy says the stress from your marriage was partly to blame for why you didn't go to Newport. Rula says absolutely. So Joelen now jumps in and says, so you agree that it happened the entire summer with Brian and the mistress? Rula says, I don't know. I was just saying that I know that he was saying and doing things so that she wouldn't go buck wild. So Andy goes on to ask, that's what Brian was telling you? Rula says yes. Andy says, so because he was telling you that you were able to discount what Joelen was telling you. Rula says yes. So Rula says, I was just wishing that all of this stuff would stop coming to me. Part of the reason why I was getting sick all the time and why I lost so much weight. Rula, the only person that you need to be mad at is Brian. The only person that you should be upset with is Brian. Brian is the reason why this stuff keeps coming back to you, because he's out there cheating. I don't understand what you want Joelen or anybody else to say. There will be nothing to report on if he would stop cheating. She was embarrassed. Yeah, she was embarrassed. She was. So now she goes on to say, I wish folks would respect the fact that I'm working on things. Well, get off the show then. Don't come on reality TV to now be tight-lipped. Get off the show. I'm tired of hearing her say that. So now she goes on to say that we had a tracking app. Andy says, so you had each other's locations? Rula says yes. Andy goes on to ask, so why was he tracking your car then? Rula says, I don't know. Joelen now jumps in and says, remember me telling you that he had a tracker on you? Rula says, maybe, I can't recall. Maybe you did tell me. Joelen said, so we see some never before seen footage of them when they were at Polo, where Joelen did say in front of Brian and Rula that he was tracking Rula. So Joelen says, Brian told the mistress that he's tracking you, so that way you wouldn't bust them up when they were together. I don't know what your thoughts are when the relationship ended. Rula says he was trying to keep things at bay and fizzle things off. Andy says, well, we're going to talk about this later on. The husbands will be out in a bit. Let's move on. So now Andy says, Alicia, you were the one who said that you had a Spanish teacher that was married to Brian. And now Rula's like, girl, why did you say that? They all start laughing. So Rula's like, Andy says, I'm sure you know her. That's Brian's first wife. Rula says, yes, I do know her. Andy goes on to ask Rula, did you have an affair with Brian? Rula says, no. Brian was already divorced a good year and a half before I even met him. Joelen jumps in and asks, what year did you guys get introduced? Rula's like, why? Joelen says, I'm just wondering. What year did you get married? When is your anniversary? Rula's asking why. Joelen says, again, I'm just wondering. Now, and she goes on to say, that's none of your business. So now Andy goes on to ask Rula, how long have you been with Brian? Rula says, we met in 2013. Joelen jumps back in and says, okay, and what year was Brian divorced? Rula says 2010. So Joelen goes on to ask, and what year did you get married? Rula says 2016. Why are you asking these questions? Joelen says, I'm curious because you said they got divorced in 2010, right? But they didn't get divorced in 2010. They got divorced in 2016. I was like, Joelen, you better have the receipts to back this up, because if you're saying what I think you're saying, then that means that Rula and Brian are not married. I was gagged. So Rula says, Joelen, stop. He has the divorce document. Joelen says, girl, so do I. Baby, when Joelen pulled that phone out, I almost passed out. Rula says, don't even go there, girl. Joelen says, no, girl. He got divorced in March of 2016. So when was your anniversary? I said, Rula, baby, don't tell me that you are in a sham of a marriage. She goes on to ask, when was the date? Rula keeps saying, Joelen, just stop. She says, ask Brian when he comes out. It's none of your business. Rula, when you have to say, ask my husband when he comes out, you've already lost. It was right there that I knew that Joelen had the receipts and she was telling the truth. And Rula was once again about to be embarrassed. I said, my God, today. You are sticking up for a man that has you out here looking like a fool, honey. Yes. Oh my gosh. Don't get me started. Don't get me started on Shirley Strawberry. In my opinion, this is great news. I'm glad she's not legally married. Oh, that's a good point. Yes, this is actually a win for her if they're not legally married. She should be happy. They don't have to split any assets or any money. You know what, Rula? You need to thank God that you're not legally married then. A mess. Honey, this reminds me of Shirley Strawberry. Oh my gosh. Shirley Strawberry, her story is so sad. Can you imagine 70 years old, couch hopping after 35 years on the radio, making millions of dollars, all because you got with a man 20 years younger than you and a jailbird and swindled all your money? And he's in jail now, and he never even liked her. When they played the jail tapes, and you listened to them, and literally she's trying to talk sexy to him on the jail calls, and he was like, "Okay, girl, like, can you stop doing that?" A mess. I feel so sorry for Shirley Strawberry, a desperado at her old age. Very sad. Very, very sad. Oh my gosh. Yes, honey. They released the jail calls. She was calling Ernesto up in jail while he was in jail. I think he's still in jail, but she was calling him up. And at one point she was like, "Yeah, baby." Like, she was saying how she had these sex toys and she was trying to have phone sex with him. The way he hung up that phone on her and he was talking with his mistress on the other line, it was so embarrassing. It was so embarrassing. Like, he never was attracted to her at all. He just used her for money. Very sad. Very sad. We'll talk about this later on. We get sidetracked about everything. You said, "My God, fix it, Black Jesus, not dirty talk on the jail line, honey." Yup, she got caught talking about Steve's wife. She sure did. He's not getting out of jail, because what he did, he's not getting out. A mess. Just a mess. Hey, okay, Indeedy, thank you for the super chat. When you go from side chick to wife, you've left your previous position open. That's why women like her are always on edge. I agree. No, he's black. He's black. I know. He's a black guy named Ernesto. No, he's black. It's very sad. We'll talk later. We'll talk later. So we'll talk later, y'all. So let's not get sidetracked. We'll be here all day talking about Shirley Strawberry and the mess. Just a mess. You said, "Oh, my bad, Ernie." I was screaming. So anyhow, where were we? Andy's confused. Andy's like, "So wait, what's the accusation?" Joelen asks, "Are they married?" So Andy's like, "Oh, so you're saying that they're not legally married?" Rula says, "Are you serious right now?" Rosie says, "Girl, don't even react. Don't give her the satisfaction." So Andy's like, "Rula, are you legally married?" Rula says, "Yes, I'm 100% legally married." Joelen's like, "Oh, are you? You can't say the day that you got married?" Rula says, "That's none of your business." Joelen goes on to ask, "When you got pregnant, was Brian still legally married?" Rula says, "No." Joelen says, "Yes, he was." When I tell you, Andy was so gagged, the way he hid behind the cue cards, he held those cue cards up like this. He was like, "My God." He was like, "Rula, just come clean, because honey, you are getting whacked and clocked every which way." Rula says, "That's not the truth." Joelen says, "I have proof." Rula says, "Who the F are you? You're a psychopath." Joelen says, "I know I am. Thank you." Alicia was like, "Girl, here we go." Joelen says, "Girl, it's okay, Rula. I had a baby out of wedlock too. It's not a big deal." Rula was like, "Oh my gosh, Joelen, please, like, don't say that." Baby, that baby out of wedlock line had Rula gagged. She was like, "Girl, don't do me. Don't do me." I said, "My God." So now Joelen's like, again, when was your wedding? Rula's like, "Why are you going there, Joelen?" Joelen says, "Rula, I'm asking you a simple question." Rula says, "We've been married for 9.5, going on 10 years. Joelen says, "Oh, really? Brian must be a polygamist then, because he was married to the Spanish teacher and you at the same time." Rula says, "This is news to my ears. Why don't you go ahead and show us the proof then?" Joelen pulled out that phone, baby, and she showed the documents. Joelen, I have to say, Joelen, you cleared. Joelen's like, "Listen, he got divorced in March of 2016. You got pregnant in February." I said, "Oh my gosh." I said, Rula, come clean, babe. Rula, come clean. Just Rula, come clean, babe. She has you on the ropes. She has you on the ropes, girl. This is a TKO. The referee is calling for you to get up, and you were slumped on the floor. And Joelen's hand is being held up because she is the winner. So now Joelen shows her phone to Andy. Andy was like, what site did you find this on? She said, oh yeah, I got this off of Court Connect. I said, damn, she is true to this, honey. Joelen probably paid her $25 to log onto the site and look Rula and Brian up. $25 well spent. So Rula says, may I see the receipts, please? Joelen shows her the phone. Alicia says, maybe it's wrong. Joelen says, Alicia, these are court documents. Rula says, I don't see anything. Joelen says, no, girl, here it is right here. Babe, when production gave us the close-up of those documents, we see that Brian filed for divorce from his first wife on July 7th of 2011. The divorce was finalized on March 24th, 2016. I was gagged. I said, wait, you want to play that back for me one more again? I was gagged. What do you mean you got married in 2016, but he got divorced on March 24th, 2016? When he filed for divorce in 2011, gagged. Gagged. Rula, I would have gotten up off that stage. I would have taken my mic pack off and said, you know what? I'm done. Thank you for the opportunity, Andy Cohen. This is my time. God bless. Congratulations. Happy birthday. This was a TKO. I'm so sorry. This was a TKO. Rula face was cracked. All Rula can say is ask him. Andy says it's interesting because he has lied to you before. Is it possible that he did lie to you about these dates? Rula says, I have no idea. Ask him. This is the first time I'm hearing about these dates. Andy goes on to ask her, if this is true, will you be upset? Rula is silent. Joelen's like, so how would you guys be married? Rula says, Joelen, because we get blessed by the priest, then we do it. It's none of your business. I said, girl, the priest, the pastor, the minister, the bishop can do whatever they want. And I don't think this marriage is legitimate. But I said, whatever you want to believe, honey. I feel sorry for you. I really do. Rula trying to call Joelen a liar. I said, Rula, give it up. Give it up. She says, you know who you are and what you've done. Joelen says, Rula, did you get pregnant while Brian was still married to his first wife? Rula says, no, unless he lied to me. He was living on his own. Ask him. Andy says, hold that thought. We're going to take a break. The men are joining us in 5 minutes. So now, the men come out. Everybody's on stage. Andy's greeting everybody. The usual small talk. Again, we didn't need all the guys to come out if they weren't going to talk about any of the other husbands except for Brian. And that was pretty much it. He literally asked Jared one question about the ice machine. That was a waste of Jared's time. So anyhow, Andy goes on to say, Gary, you got a lot of play from the viewers about your shirtless scene in the sauna. Andy reading a viewer question about clear up the timeline regarding Jen and Joelen. I said, oh my gosh, we've already discussed this a million times. When I tell you I don't care about this whole thing about who hooked up with Gary first, I don't care anymore. It's stale, it's old. At the end of the day, Joelen and Gary are the ones who are married. They all like the little dynamic with her sister and Gary. Who cares? I don't care anymore. God bless everybody. I just don't care. I'm like, we're spending too much time on trivial things that we've already discussed a million times already. Enough. Joe don't care. I don't care. Exactly. Like we're still with Gerry and his big tits. Oh, you are so funny. You said it's boring. I don't care. So now, Andy goes on to ask if Gerry would ever donate his sperm to Jen. Gerry says no. So now Andy says, I hear you guys are all good friends. Rich says, yeah, we had breakfast earlier this morning. We all went on a walk with my dog, Clemmy. Andy's like, okay, that's cool. That's nice. Again, it was too much small talk. Like Andy was asking about how do they feel seeing the women, their wives with the butlers in Newport. Like it's too much filler stuff. Let's talk about the good stuff. It's too much of that. Andy, enough with the small talk all the time. Like, come on. You focus too much on minor stuff and then you skip over the major stuff, and that's annoying. Andy addresses how on the show, Kelsey's boyfriend, Bill, said that he waited a year to have sex because while Kelsey was sleeping with her ex-boyfriend. Bill says, yeah, even though I don't want to admit that, there was a lot of alone time. These hands got a lot of work. They were all like, really? Like, okay. Rosie was like, okay, that's weird to say out loud. Andy was like, okay, that's kind of graphic. Bill, I don't think that anybody was itching to visualize you masturbating. I know you and Brazzers and Pornhub and Tasty Blacks and all the sites, you guys were locked in, but we don't care to hear it, okay? So now, Andy wants to address the timeline of events of when Kelsey and her ex-boyfriend actually broke up as it relates to the production of the show. So Andy's like, you guys were actually broken up. You guys were actually at odds for a year prior to filming. Kelsey says, yeah. She says, well, actually, there were so many times I had broken up with him. I'd break up with him 2 or 3 times a year. I wouldn't sleep in the house. People would see me out with Bill. They didn't even know that I was still with my ex. It was a very complex relationship. No, girl, stop. No, stop. Stop acting like the audience is too dumb to get what you and your ex had going on. It's not that. The truth of the matter is y'all had broken up before the show had even started filming. You called up your ex and said, hey, can you pretend like we're still together so I can get on the show? That's what it was. You used him for a storyline. That's it, and that's all. Stop the lies. Don't play us, the audience, like we're too dumb to get the relationship. It's nothing complex, nothing. Stop. You guys were not together. And I'm annoyed that Andy did not press her more on that. Because the streets have receipts that you guys were already broken up. So stop. I was so annoyed. Ain't nothing complex about Kelsey. Exactly. I was so annoyed about that. You lied about the relationship to be on the show. That's it, and that's all. Stop. Let's move on. Andy brings up Dino to Gerry. He says, you guys were all good friends. How were you affected by the rumors when it came to Dino and Liz? Gerry says, I wasn't affected at all. We're great friends. Liz's body language was really weird. I thought it was the way she looked down and she started playing with her dress. It was just really strange. Something went on, I believe. It's just really weird. Also, I feel like Andy, once again, you dropped the ball, not asking more about the issues in their marriage. Why was he gone sports fishing all the time? Like, there was so much that was left. And let me move on. If you're going to hold on to this job with a vice grip, can you at least be thorough and do your job? Like, that's my issue. If you don't want to give another person a chance, if you want to hold on to this power and this fame and this money, do your job thoroughly, respectfully. So many missing questions that need to be answered. I agree. Yes, honey, a lot of meat was left on the bone. I agree. So now, I thought it was weird because Liz whispers, oh no, Gerry says that Dino's become more famous than us. Liz whispers for all the wrong reasons. It's clear that the whole Dino thing's a sore spot. So now Andy says, Gerry, earlier today, it was revealed by Liz that when you and her were separated, Rula and Brian called you up and told you that she was with another man. So Andy's like, did Rula call you? Did she not call you? Was it Rula and Brian? Who called you? So Gerry starts laughing. He says, well, actually, it was a friend of mine who called me. Rula says, thank God. Gerry says, but wait, there's more. He put Brian on the phone. Rula was so gagged, honey. So Rosie's like, did he tell you this before? Rula says, no. She was so embarrassed. I said, baby, this man keeps embarrassing you. So now Andy's like, Brian, so you were on the phone with Brian. You were on the phone with Gerry. You told him that Liz was with another man. Gerry says, yes. Brian told me that she was dancing with another man. So Liz starts laughing. Brian is stuttering, right? So Andy's asking, did you do that because you want to get back to Gerry? Liz said, look, we were separated. All his friends were around me all night. I certainly wasn't trying to hide it. Again, Andy, a lost opportunity to ask Liz and Gerry, why did they separate? What was the reason? Was it infidelity? Why was he gone sports fishing all the time? There was no Liz segment, and I'm annoyed by that. Again, this should have been a 3-parter because you left out a lot. We barely skimmed the surface when it came to Liz, and I'm disappointed. I felt we didn't find out much about Liz at all. Brian says in women's business, I agree. So now it's time for, Andy's congratulating Billy on the re-proposal to Alicia. He's like, have you amended the prenup? Billy gives a nervous laugh. Alicia says, great question. Billy says it's a touchy subject. That was 8 years ago. I wish I handled that differently. Alicia says, oh, really? I like hearing that. It shows growth. Andy goes on to ask, how do you wish that you would have handled it then? Billy says, I think because I was an attorney, I sent a one-sided agreement so her attorney wouldn't spend any money drafting an agreement. I literally said in the email to her attorney, this is just a draft. Tell us exactly what Alicia needs to be comfortable moving forward. Her attorney did that. We pretty much agreed to whatever she wanted and whatever she asked for, but I think she was so upset with how I came about it. Alicia, that's a bit immature on your part. If he was willing to give you whatever you wanted in the prenup, the fact that you turned it down because you were mad about how he went about it, that's kind of weird to me. Alicia, you really spun this around like Billy was financially controlling and low-key financially abusive. And the whole time it's looking like you're the one who's just financially illiterate and immature and lazy. That's what it's giving. Andy goes on to ask, I asked Alicia about the house. She said that it was in a trust. Billy says, yes, that's correct. He says, she can come to me anytime. And I always tell her, come with me to the estate attorney and we can go through it together. Alicia says, it's just so boring. I just want a quick answer. Alicia, that's on you. That you can't blame Billy for your immaturity. You can't blame Billy. Like, yes, it is boring. Nobody wants to sit through that, but you got to do what you have to do. Like, I don't understand this. You owe Billy an apology. And I mean, I'm not somebody to take up for men, but you owe him an apology because he's trying to help you out. And you're the one putting your head in the sand for no reason. It's pure laziness. Honey, I was floored too. That's a you thing, babe. I agree. So now Andy goes on to ask if he's sensitive to her not being a full participant in the finances. Bill says, yeah, I've consistently recommended meetings to go over our finances. So Alicia's like, so Andy's like, really, Alicia? So Alicia's like, a meeting? I just can't. Like, who wants to do a meeting? Alicia had me agreeing with a man. Bye, Alicia. I agree. How does Alicia not have time? I agree. It makes no sense. Alicia, this put a bad taste in my mouth. I'm not going to hold you. I feel like this whole dumb blonde thing, it's really grating on my nerves. And you are too grown to be acting like this with a daughter. It's embarrassing. Andy says, I know, but it sounds like he is trying to address your concerns. Alicia says, it's just so long and boring and it's so dragged out. I just can't deal with it. So Andy says, Rula, can you please help her out? Rula says, yes, I'll help you. Let's set a date to talk about all this. Andy says, Billy, I'm actually sympathizing with you. They all laugh. Alicia says, when it comes to money talk, my brain shuts down. When I was a hairstylist, I wasn't doing all this or talking to Sarah, our money manager. So Andy's like, who's Sarah? Billy says, she's our office manager. She's our bookkeeper. Alicia, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. This whole conversation had my head spinning. You sounded stupid. I really hate to insult you like that. I hate to call somebody stupid, but this is just pure stupidity. It really is. Andy reads a viewer question asking Alicia, I caught your Instagram story where you asked, is it okay if your spouse takes all your money and pays your bills without asking you, and saying that you never see your money or your check? Are you that friend, Alicia? Alicia says, I left it up for 5 minutes. I was mad and I deleted that story. It happened because of Sarah. I got pissed off. I wanted to know where my stuff was going. I just got mad at him, and that's it. I just hate having to go through somebody else. Alicia, it's your money, it's your life, it's your checks. If you don't want to have to go through another person for your money, get another bank account and put those checks in that bank account. This is an easy fix. Have your checks sent to a new bank account that just you and you alone have access to. You are creating a prison of your own making. This is so stupid. Stunted development. It is. Y'all, when I tell you, I'm just so over it. This isn't even funny anymore. No, it's not funny. It's not. At this point, she's just like, no, because for her to act like she was being financially abused and destitute, yeah, I don't like that. She had us all thinking that Billy had her out, we thought that Billy had her assed out, and the whole time it's just her ignorance and laziness. I'm so annoyed. No, when I tell you, I am so annoyed. Billy, I apologize because I was getting on you heavily this season, and the whole time it's Alicia playing stupid. Billy says, I set up an S Corp for her. I set up the corporation so she can expense things. Sarah showed her emails. We CC her on all the emails. I'm trying to help her out for tax purposes so she doesn't get hit up at the end of the year. I said, Alicia, Billy's actually helping you. That's very sweet of him. Billy's actually a good guy. I have to say that's very sweet of him. You need to get yourself together because you look crazy. Alicia says, he knows that I don't understand this. Alicia, you are an adult. You are not a little girl. You are a grown woman with full-blown autonomy. You know how to ask for help and educate yourself. You are choosing not to do that. So please stop. That's not an excuse about, I don't know that. No, you need to learn something. Stop using that as an excuse and educate yourself. I'm sick of it. So now Andy brings up the whole driving thing. He says, it sounds like Alicia went back on driving Selena to dance. How's that going? Billy says, I'd be willing to give Alicia more money if she drives Selena to and from dance. With that being said, Alicia, I have something for you. He pulls out an envelope. Alicia's like, oh, please. Billy says, I have an agreement. In exchange for 50% of my shares of Pizza Mama, I'll give that to you if you'll just drive Selena to dance once or twice a week. Alicia's like, does my mom driving Selena count? Andy was like, girl, he's going to give you 50% of his shares. Just drive your daughter to dance once or twice a week. Like, even Andy was getting annoyed by it. Alicia goes on to say, well, I don't even want 50%. They were all like, girl, are you nuts? If you don't sign the damn paper and stop playing with your money, like, are you stupid? You're about to turn down that kind of money because you don't want to drive your daughter? Alicia, I hate to say it, but I've lost respect. She finally signs the paper. Alicia is a nut job. It was so damn silly. 50% of them refusing. I don't know what's wrong with her. I lost respect too. That's a lot of money. Nutcase. She's legit slow. I can't trust what she says. Oh, you said you feel vindicated? I never saw it for Alicia. I am screaming, honey. You and Darkchild both never saw it for her. She should have had a lawyer look over it. Maybe she's actually dumb. Take 50% and hire a driver. Damn. Listen, honey. So now she signs the paper. Wait, hold on. I lost track of my notes. Apologies. Alicia says, I don't want to read the agreement. Rulla says, I would read it, but I don't want to be held liable. They all laugh. Alicia signs it. They all clap. Alicia says, thank you, Billy. So now Andy says, last but not least, how are you doing, Brian? Brian says, I feel great. He says, you know what, Andy? Sometimes you have to hit rock bottom before the Lord can bring you back up. Stop. Do not bring the Lord into your cheating. Stop it. Just stop. Just stop. Stop. Because not only are you a cheater, but you're still cheating. Stop it. I was so... When I tell you, I almost passed out when he said that. I said, stop. Do not bring Christ. Do not bring my Lord and Savior into this. Please stop. I'm not doing this. Even Andy was like, sure, Jane. And it was so fake. He was like, sometimes you got to hit rock bottom so that the Lord can bring you back up. I just couldn't. He said, please, Brian, I'm trying to eat. Let him use you, Brian. Testify. Jesus, the pot calling the kettle black. God is tired of Brian's mess, honey. Andy says, some would argue that going on a reality show while having an affair is in progress or towards the end would be risky at best. Did you think it was going to come out? Brian says, due to legal reasons, Andy, unfortunately, I can't comment on that. Andy's like, well, what are the legal reasons? Andy was not here for it. I said, Rula, this man's about to have you lose your job. So Brian says, I'm bound by a non-disclosure. Andy says, you're in a lawsuit with the mistress, right? Brian says, yeah. Andy says, okay, well, let's bring her out. She's right backstage. Brian and Rula's faces dropped. When they thought that she was going to come out and join them on that stage, I got my entire life. Everybody was like, wait, what? Joelen's eyes lit up. They were all shook. Rula almost had a heart attack on that stage. Andy was like, I'm just kidding. She's not here. So now Brian and Rula said, well, actually, if you did bring her out, it's okay. I don't even care. And Rula's like, I don't care. Honestly, if she sat right here, I wouldn't even care. That's a bold-faced lie, girl. Stop it. Andy was like, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have made that joke. My apologies. So Andy says, okay, you're in a lawsuit with this person. What's the nature of this lawsuit? Rula says, well, you can't speak on that, but I can. No, Rula says, you can't really speak to that. Brian says, no, I can't. Andy was like, wait, you can't tell me what the lawsuit is? Baby, Andy was pissed. He was like, babe, you got 5 seconds to either tell me or get off of this stage. He was not having it. Gary was like, that's ridiculous. Rula says, well, I can speak on it, Andy. He opened a business with He opened a business and he made the mistress and another person part owners. I said, oh, he was probably sleeping with the other part owner as well. Rula, you are aware that if he made the mistress a part owner of his new business, he was in love with that lady. I don't know why you want this man back. He was willing to go throw his whole family away and go all in with the mistress. Like you are aware that this man, when men do not play about their money. And when men give women money and invest in women, they like that woman. You're a man giving another woman money, you might as well cut your losses and say, you know what, it was fun. God bless the both of you. I'm going to see myself out. He liked that woman a lot. That's how you know if a man is really interested, how much he invests in you financially. Because men do not part with money unless they like that woman. And if your man's over here giving money away to another woman, pack your bags, babe. Pack your bags. It's a chop. And it's no shade. Pack your bags. He's pack your bags. Respectfully, pack your bags. You said the mistress was putting that thing on Brian. Brian is tonguing her down as we speak. He liked her real bad. He did. He did. So now, she says it was to keep them engaged before anything was going on. I said, Rulla, you can believe whatever you want. Be clear, he was already seeing this mistress long before he put her name on that business. Rulla says, Andy says, did you know he made her part owner? Rulla says, yes, he told me. I wasn't thrilled about that. She says, yada, 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 back to him. They gave their shares back up to him. What else am I forgetting? Joelen says, well, actually a lot. Brian says, I can't say what it is. Joelen says, well, yeah, I can. The one individual in question, the one who sued Brian, she was a nurse practitioner. She sued him for some funds. So now Rula says, this is our segment. Joelen says, go ahead, say it then. You just asked, what am I forgetting? I was helping you out. Rula says, not everybody goes around poking in other people's business. Joelen says, I do. I have nothing better to do. Joelen says, I'm unemployed now. Thanks, Brian. Rula says, no, don't do that. It's not because of Brian. It's because you use your company card to buy things that you can't afford. I said, girl, you are grasping at straws. Please stop. Joelen was like, girl, what are you talking about? Andy wasn't here for it. He was like, okay, girl, so back to Brian. Rula says the lawsuit happened. They all had to sign NDAs. Andy says, okay. So Andy now goes on to ask all the husbands, would you come on a reality show if you were having an affair? They all say absolutely not. They all say absolutely not. So now Andy says, let's go back to the polo match. There's a theory online that Brian's mom was never sick, and the call came from the mistress threatening to show up. So you went to calm her down, and then you came back to polo with Rula, and then she posted a picture in the car. Brian, the way you lied about this polo match and this whole thing with your mom, and Rula, you too, you guys both look crazy. Brian says, well, first things first, let's speak to the facts. That day we left the restaurant, Angelo's, which is in Cumberland. We drove to Lincoln, where I dropped her off at. I dropped her off at home. Because she said, if we go by your parents' house, Rula goes on to say that our in-laws are watching the kids. Again, I'm confused. Brian says, she said, if the kids see me and everything's okay, they're gonna want to come home. Rula says, I want to go back to polo. When I went back to my house, because when my kids see me, unlike yours, Joelen, mine are very attached to me. Joelen was like, oh, really? We want to go there? Rula, you need to stop talking about the kids. Stop bringing up the kids in any capacity. You did it with Liz, saying that she wasn't the bio mother of her kids. Stop. You can, if you want to read Joelen down, fine. But leave the whole thing about her kids not being attached to her, not loving her. Girl, stop. You're out of line for that. I'm really getting sick. I don't like Rula. I really don't. Just a nasty demeanor. I don't. A pick me, nasty demeanor. I don't like her. Well, I don't like what she presents on the show. Let me just say that. Rula goes on to say, if my kids had seen me, they would have been crying. Andy says, you know what? I get that. So now Andy goes on to ask, do you believe that Brian was going to the hospital at that time? Rula says, nobody ever said that he was going to the hospital. They play the flashback, and we clearly hear Rula saying, hey, guys, Brian's mom is sick. She just got rushed to the hospital. We clearly see you saying that. So now you want to say, oh, no, we never said that she was in the hospital. Babe, the way you and Brian lied during this segment, I had secondhand embarrassment. I said, you guys can't help yourself. So now Rula says, by the way, my mother-in-law didn't even end up being taken to the hospital. You came back to Polo saying she was rushed to the hospital and we were by her bedside. Y'all are just losers. The both of y'all are losers. I'm embarrassed for y'all. Andy was so over it. So he's like, so where did Brian go if he did not go to the hospital to see his mother? Brian's talking in circles. He says, well, my parents live 2.5 miles away from us. They live in Lincoln. I'm surprised Joelen didn't do her research on that. Joelen said, oh, no, I know that about your parents because didn't your dad find the mistress's underwear in his bed? I said, get them for me. Brian was like, what are you talking about? Joelen says, I have the text right here. Rula says, Andy, I don't even want to do this because you know it's probably true. Joelen says, so you can talk about my kids, but I can't talk about the dirty panties in his dad's bed. So now Rula goes on to say, well, how many dirty panties have you left in men's beds? Joelen says none. Even Gary was looking at Rula like, girl, stop. I know my wife, honey. Now, one thing I'll say, when it comes to Joelen and Gary, there is chemistry. Like, you can tell that they are still very attracted to each other. There is still love in that marriage. Because at the end, when she was like, I'm going to F you so good tonight. And he was like, oh, that's what I wanted to hear. Babe, they don't have any issues in their marriage. So I know for a fact, if I had to put money on it, that man, Gary's not cheating on her. She's not cheating on Gary. They are very much in love with each other. We love to see it. Yeah, they are locked in. They are locked in. Joelen said, you do know that Brian's over here telling people that your butt smells like garlic. When I tell you, I couldn't stop laughing. By the way, a doctor on TikTok came out and said that if your butt does smell like garlic, it might be because you have IBS and you need to go get that checked out. They said, Rula, go get that checked out, babe, because your butt should not be smelling like garlic. They also are laughing about that. Brian says, so anyway, I went home. I was driving my black Hummer all day. I didn't take my other car. Rula says under her breath that the Porsche is the car with the red interior. He goes on to say, I got home. Rula said, we're going to go back to Polo. I re-gelled my hair because it was very hot. And my ring was in the cup holder of the car. Andy says, well, I thought you said that you took your ring off to re-gel your son's hair. Oh, I said, now, Andy, you might have dropped the ball on other things, but you ate right here. You ate right. I said, come through, Andy. Babe, they sure played that. They played that footage. And we remember that, we hear that Brian saying that he re-gelled his son's hair and took his wedding ring off. Now, all these lies, I was here for, honey. So now, Brian says, I took it off at my parents' house. It was in my pocket. You just said you re-gelled your hair, then you re-gelled your son's hair, then it was in your cup holder. Now I took it off at my parents' house and put it in, and it was in my pocket. Lies on top of lies. So now, he goes on to say that it's a preposterous thing to keep harping on. So Andy says, Joelen, I'm assuming that you're going to pull out some more receipts. Joelen says, thank you, Andy, I was. So, baby, when I tell you this next receipt had me so gagged, I said, oh, my gosh. She pulled out that phone and said, I want to show you this. There was this Chanel bag in your car, in the passenger seat. Just out of curiosity, because this picture took place on July 17th of 2025. We were filming then. This receipt shows client Mr. Brian Pontarelli purchased a Chanel bag for $4,100. Now, a quick side note. Please let me know where the girls are buying Chanel for $4,100. Because I went to Chanel last month and that price increase done kicked in because the bag I was looking at was double that. That was the mini bag was $8,100 and the jumbo was $13,500. So if there is a classic flat for $4,100, somebody put me on game. Chanel has been raising those prices every month and a half. It used to be a price increase every couple of years. Now it's a price increase every 6 weeks. If you can find me a Chanel classic flat black for $4,100, call my line right now. If I have any SAs in the chat, if I have any of y'all who work at Neiman's, Saks, Bergdorf's, Bloomingdale's, and if you work at Chanel standalone store, let me know. Honey, send me on their way, honey. Thank you, okay? Because I need to know. Call my line today. Because I was at Chanel last month. Because why is a small going for $7,200? A small one. Child. Let's just move on, honey. Let's just move on. I was like, what the F is Joelen talking about? It better be Chanel and not Channel. Now, this you're on point with, Brian. I'm screaming my facial voice. I am yelling. The only place to get them that price are Japan secondhand. Maybe he got it from Samad's friend. These are not my problems, child. Maybe it's pre-love. Brian is the plug. Did he go to bootleg? Did he go to Kelly's bootleg essay? Maybe it might be. Maybe it has to be secondhand. I'm sure. Or maybe it was like the wallet, because the wallets, those like coin purses are going for $4,100. So maybe he got her a coin purse for $41. Let's just move on. We'll be here all day. She says it's the same bag I checked, same style number I checked. Joelen, when they let you go from Housewives, go into being a detective. You will go into private investigation and being a detective. You will make bank because you are very nosy and you like to get folks' business. You have the receipts, so go into that. You will thrive. Joelen says, was that for Rulla or was that for the mistress? Brian says, unfortunately, for legal reasons, I can't speak about that. Joelen says, so for legal reasons, you can't share about you purchasing a Chanel bag for somebody? Really? Brian's like, oh, so you're a lawyer now? Andy says, there's nothing illegal about answering if you bought a Chanel bag for somebody. It's a yes or no. It's a simple question, Brian. Who'd you buy the bag for? The pig showed a flat bag. Yeah. You know, Jamil, you know that's coming. Because you know that's going to come, and you know it's going to come real quick. You can feel it. You can feel the vibes. Legal reasons, spare me. Okay, he did that. He sure did. A vanity bag is the only one. That's what I thought. So Brian is hemming and hawing about who he bought the Chanel bag for. Brian says, the only person I ever bought a Chanel bag for is my wife. That was a bold-faced lie. Did you see Rulla's face? Rulla's face gave, this has never bought me a Chanel a day in his life. That face gave, the only Chanel that I have is a Chanel that I bought with my money. That facial expression, you can always tell when a woman is lying about a man buying her stuff because she's buying it for herself. And that face, go back and watch her facial expression when he said that. Her facial expression gave, why is he like, she was like this, like, no, he has, he's bought me, I bought my own Chanel. He hasn't bought me anything. That was the look of a woman who's bought her own Chanel, never had a man buy her anything. A mess. Rulla's buying him Chanel, okay? Oh, Rulla knew she got caught in a lie, honey. The collective eye roll at legal reasons. Okay, Erica Jane. Listen, honey. So now, Joelen says, okay, so that's you right there. Is that your purse, Rulla? Rulla's face was cracked when she was like, no, that's not my Chanel bag. I said, my God, today, baby, he put this woman's name on the business. He's buying her Chanel down. He was treating her to Neiman's up in Boston, honey, because that's where you guys shop. Because there's no designer in Rhode Island. Y'all go to Boston. Y'all go to Copley Place in Boston because there's a Neiman's there. Y'all had to go, baby. He was driving her up to Boston, honey, tricking on her. A mess, baby. That face was crackiana, cracked down. Rulla gave up the fight right there. Rulla needs to tap out, baby. Rulla kept getting whacked and did. Does Rulla have brothers? No, for real. Trick daddy, honey, so embarrassing. A mess. Rulla looks a fool, okay? So Joellen's like, okay, gotcha. So Andy says, lots to unpack here. So now Andy's like, how many of y'all heard things about Brian before filming started? They all raised their hands. I said, oh my gosh, Rulla. I said, Rulla, please just bow out gracefully, girl. Just bow out. They been knew about your man cheating and dogging you out. This is a mess. And they said that, they said in the, the finale episode, the episode before, Joelen had the receipts where he was telling the mistress how he was going to leave Rulla and the kids for her. Just a mess. They all raised their hands. Gary says, I ran into them. I was out at a restaurant and the mistress, and they both walked up to me and said hi. And the mistress even said, hey, this is my boyfriend right here. My boyfriend, soon to be fiance. Baby. And he says, I know the mistress really well anyway, because our kids went to the same daycare and I knew her ex-husband. Baby, the fact that she was going around town introducing you, you guys are both, locked in, holding hands. She's saying, hey, this is my boyfriend, about to be fiance, a mess. When Rulla turned around, Rulla turned that long, stiff neck around when she heard that the mistress was going around saying that was her boyfriend / fiance. When Rulla said, wait, she was calling you her boyfriend / fiance? Like, wait, when was, Ru, when was this? Baby, I said, Rulla, if you don't get the divorce papers out, then I don't know. Baby, she turned that stiff neck around and said, when was this? She was calling you her fiance, boyfriend. You have me entirely up, sir. Entirely. How do you sit through that? Child, I have no idea. Rulla should have pretended to pass out. Honey, maybe she can help Angela over in Atlanta. Rulla kept asking Brian for explanations, but he gave her nothing. I need Rulla's single arc. I need it too. Baby, that was a stiff neck. That was that neck. Baby, that neck wasn't moving. It was this. She said, Negro, what do you mean? She was calling you her boyfriend / fiance. Are you serious? I would have been out the door yesterday. Exactly. Just, honey, a mess. A mess. Survey says, honey. And now you say they're not even married. She slept on the wrong side of the bed. Neck was stiff, baby. That neck was stiff. This is that kind of stuff that could send somebody into cardiac arrest. And Rulla, stop playing with your health and your mental well-being. I feel sorry for you. All Brian could say was, oh no, it was a business dinner. Our reps take us to that same restaurant all the time. Babe, I don't care if the reps take you to McDonald's. I don't care if it was business, lunch, breakfast, whatever it was. The fact that that woman was over there hand in hand while you guys are at a business meeting referring to you as her boyfriend / fiance is crazy. That's it and that's all. Andy's like, Rulla, what's your reaction hearing this? Rulla says, well, obviously I'm not happy hearing that, but I do know that the business reps have taken him to that same restaurant. I don't know. I wasn't there. I said, this is the face of a defeated woman. I feel sorry for you, Rulla. You just looked sorrier and sorrier as the seconds wore on. So now Andy brings up the timeline of when they got married. So Rulla says, hey, Joelen pulled up a court document. Please explain to them. So Brian says, I was divorced in September of 2012. Rulla looked at him like, wait, you got me messed up. I just told them 3 hours ago that you got divorced in 2010. That's what you told me 10 years ago. Now you got divorced in 2012. You filed in 2012. Oh, I said, Rulla, it's okay to get off the sinking ship. What about Brian? What about Brian has you holding on, looking stupid like this? She knows nothing about him. It just kept getting worse. My God, today. Joellen's making faces. Rulla says, listen, just explain it to everybody. She's pulling up all this stuff, making a case. Just handle it. Brian says, may I ask you something, Joelen? What's your end goal here? You know what her end goal is. Just apologize for calling her a liar. The fact that Rula and Brian still could not apologize to her was crazy to me. All you have to say is, we're sorry, Joelen. He effed up. Joelen, I effed up. I stepped out on my wife. I was a dog. You know what? I took it out on you. I'm sorry. That's all you had to say. You can't even be man enough to say, you know what, Joelen, I'm sorry. Talk about, oh, what's your end goal? What's the end game here? Why do you keep doing this to us? You're not a victim. I was so ready, Gary. No, Gary, let me just whack you, Gary, because Gary, you should have punched Brian in his face. He's sitting up there talking about your wife, calling her a hoe, calling her hoe Ellen, saying that she's trash, this, that, and the third. You should have punched him right in his face. And he still want to apologize to your wife? Absolutely not. I can't stand him. He's a disgrace. A poor excuse for a man. You can't even apologize when you're wrong. Joelen says, thank you for asking me that. My point is I was called a liar. Rula interrupts and says, if you're such a girl's girl, Joelen says, I'm not a girl's girl to you anymore. Get it straight. I'm tired of hearing about girl's girl this, girl's girl that. Girl's girl does not exist, honey. It's everybody for themselves. It is every woman for themselves. In real life, there is no such thing as a girl's girl. So stop saying it. Get out of the fantasy land. Get into reality, honey. It's every woman. Women are very ruthless and treacherous. So please stop. Like, it's no shade. But this whole girl's girl thing is a fantasy. Okay, it's cute online, and that's where it stays, online. She is being a girl's girl, trying to help you out and tell you to leave your sorry man, but you won't leave him. Stop. Joe, I loved how Gerry stepped in for his wife. Now Gerry steps behind his wife. Meanwhile, Brian has you out here looking stupid. Gerry was like, listen, you call my wife a liar the whole time. She's going to prove that she's not a liar. Gerry goes on to say, my wife is like that. She's going to take it to the grave. That's how she is. Exactly. She's not going to be called a liar when she has the proof. Joelen says, I have the court documents. They don't lie. You had your case going on and on and on. You did not get divorced until March of 2016. You guys are lying. That's it. That's all. Rulla says, I'm not lying, Joelen. I took his word. We wouldn't be able to get married if you weren't divorced. Andy was so over it. He was like, okay, let's just move on from this. Rula says, going on a reality TV show is when your husband's in the midst of an affair. No, he goes on to say, Rula, going on a reality show when your husband's in the midst of an affair seems like you're putting yourself through something. What was your mindset? Rula says, I thought it had ended at that point. Joelen says, when did it end? Rula starts screaming, it doesn't matter, it's done. I said, girl, so you say he's lied about everything else, and now you want to believe that it's over? You're a bigger dummy than I thought. Rosie says, Brian, can you please speak up? Your wife's out here looking crazy. Joelen's not going to stop until you just say the truth. Just clear this up. When did the whole thing end so we can just move on from this, please? Rosie was me in that moment because I was feeling the same way. Let's wrap this up. Joelen says, November 3rd. Was that it? She's reading Brian's text to the mistress. Brian's over there talking about, I can't wait to be the best boyfriend, the best fiance to you and your children. Rula, your husband put the mistress's name on his new business, bought her Chanel down, Dior down, Fendi down, Gucci down. Now he's talking about, I'm going to be the best fiance to you and your kids. Girl, to say that this is pick me behavior is an understatement. I mean, girl, you are down bad for this, honey. This is a different level. No, this really is. This really, baby, he had that mistress dripped out while she was at home with her garlic butt. Cleared Neiman's out for the mistress. That is not your man anymore. Don't cry, Brooke. Honey, I'm trying to hold on. Run, Forrest, run. He wants Rula to leave him. Yeah. Wait, because I said this 5 episodes ago, and the girls got mad at me, but that's how men do. When men want to break up with you, they start acting dumb because they don't want to be the bad guy. A lot of men are too cowardly to break up with you, right? So 9 times out of 10, if you broke up with a man, he already broke up with you in his head. He didn't want you anymore. He was just hoping that you would finally leave him. When a man starts acting dumb, he starts picking fights with you, starts being mean to you. That's his way of trying to get you to leave him. And you're right. That is what he's doing. I had so many women say, no, that's not it. And honey, this is the truth. He wants her to leave him. And she still won't leave because she's a dummy with low self-esteem. Honey, he is begging for her to leave him. And she's still holding his ankles and won't leave. May I say this to somebody? Please stop looking at rejection as the worst thing in the world. If somebody does not want you, let them leave. I don't care what your orientation is, man, woman, however you identify, straight, gay, bisexual, pants, whatever you identify as. If the other person does not want you, stop being upset about it. Stop trying to force people to want you. People can fall out of love with you all the time. And it's okay. Let people not like you. Let people fall out of love with you. I know it's painful. I know it's going to hurt. I know your ego will be bruised. I know you will cry, but let folks go. You don't want somebody to stay with you out of obligation because you're forcing them. You should only want people who want to be with you to be in your life. I do not want anything or anybody that I have to beg. And I want some of y'all to be freed from the shackles of, oh my gosh, they don't want me anymore. Let them go. Let people go on to where, let them go. You look pathetic and desperate, and you are hurting your self-esteem and your self-worth when you hold on to people who don't want you anymore. Please. If somebody does not want you anymore, that people have a right to not want you anymore. I want you to sit with that. People have a right. It does not make somebody a bad person if they do not want to be with you anymore. I know it hurts. I know it stings when you love that person and you want to be with them. But allow people to live and do what's best for them. Okay? The same way when you don't want to be with somebody anymore and you want to leave, you want them to let you go freely, right? Okay. All right. This is one of the lowest blows I've ever seen. My heart actually breaks for her, but this is unbelievable desperation. And for what? For him shaking my damn head, child. I know, honey. I know. No, for real. It is giving that. It is giving very much Dream Girls. It's giving very much that. Very much that. It's very true. It's very true. You can outgrow others and they can outgrow you. It's okay. It's very true. This is just pathetic. At a certain point, I was like, Joelen, it doesn't matter what you tell her. It doesn't matter what receipt you pull out. Rulla is not going to leave. Like, I feel sorry for her. So now they're all like, Rulla, we just want you to know we're not blaming you. Andy says, hold on. He's not denying that he had an affair with this woman. Rulla screams, I didn't know. Rosie says, listen, we know that you didn't know. We just need Brian to tell us when it ended and we can all move on. We all know it's not your fault. Joelen says, you didn't do this, Rulla. Rulla, it's not your fault. Gerry says, yeah, Rulla, there's no ill will towards you. It's towards Brian. Rulla says, well, I'm the victim. Where's the sympathy? Girl, they do have sympathy for your dumb ass. They're just telling you to leave this man. There's sympathy, but it's like, girl, you look crazy staying with this man who does not want you. You want to be coddled and say, oh, you know what, girl, go back to your horrible husband. Joelen says, girl, the issue is you keep on deflecting. Rulla says, I'm not deflecting. Joelen says, you know what, Rulla, I support you. You want to make your marriage work. God bless. Rosie says the same thing. Andy's like, Rosie, I want to hear from you. Rosie says, look, Brian, can you just admit when things officially ended? We can all agree that Rulla did not know, and then Joelen will stop bringing this up. Kelsey whispers she has no idea when it ended. That's why he doesn't want to answer. Brian says, I can't talk about it. Joelen says, stop. I can tell you if you're not going to tell. So now Brian finally says, I can tell you this. I have not seen my affair partner since last October. Andy says, okay, good. Like, we're done with this. Joelen says, survey says that's a lie. I have the proof. You were sending her your son's Christmas list. Rosie says, Joelen, according to your proof, has it ended? Joelen says, yes, it did end. It finally ended this year, 2026. God bless Rulla. Rosie says, well, it's over now. They want to move forward. So now Rulla turns with that stiff neck, and she's like, wait, hold on. What does she mean by the affair just ended this year? I thought this ended 2025. What do you mean we're in 2026, the year of our Lord and Savior, and it just ended a few weeks ago? I said, Rulla, Brian was like, you know what, girl, we'll talk about that later when we get home. Just enough. Andy's like, Rulla goes on to say, you're not even allowed to see her. So how are you still? I said, baby, he don't care about the law. He's willing to break the law for her. He's willing to break the law to still see her. What does that tell you? He don't want you anymore. Never let yourself get that attached to anybody. And that includes a spouse too, especially as a woman. Never allow yourself to get so attached to a husband that this man is showing clear signs that he does not want you, and you're still holding onto his ankles while he's out the door. A mess. So Andy's like, well, when was your impression that this whole affair ended? Rulla says, I don't know. I thought it ended in October. Joelen says, well, what about penis into vagina? When did they stop having sex? Because that's been going on for a long time. They were all like, Joelen, just let it go. I said, Joelen, at the end of the day, Rulla is going to stand by her man until the wheels fall off. Gerry says, Rulla, as much as you hate my wife, she's the only one proving to you. So you need to be happy that she's bringing this to light. I said, get her again, Gerry. Now, say what you want. I'm here for Gerry being all up in the mix. He's standing up for his wife. I'm here for it. I'm not mad at it. Rulla says, I'm not blaming your wife for the info. I'm just blaming her for bringing it up and invading my privacy. Be mad at your husband. Joelen asks, why aren't you blaming Brian for continuing to have sex with her, put his dick inside of her? I don't know what else to say. So neither one of them answer her. Liz says, I think that Brian should say, you know what, I effed up. But Joelen, you should also say, you know what, I didn't do this because I like Rulla. Gerry says, no, Liz. She did this because she wanted to show everybody that she was telling the truth. They're all quiet. Gerry cleared. Andy says, now Rulla, it was reported that you went to the police with the tracker on your car. Did you know that it would lead to Brian's arrest? Rulla says, no, I didn't. Andy goes on to ask, why did he have a tracking device on your car in the first place? Brian says the case has been dismissed, so I can't talk about it. Andy was like, baby, I've been sitting in this chair for 13 hours. You're going to answer me. I asked you a question. Because Andy snapped. Andy was like, the case got dismissed and you can't talk about it? What does that mean? Andy was about to tear that man up if he did not answer him. I said, Brian, don't play on Andy Cohen's stage. Don't do it. Please don't do it. Rulla, if you don't come back, it's because of Brian. Because he played at this reunion. He wasted everybody's time. Gerry was like, why are you here then if you can't talk about anything? Gerry, when I tell you, I like Gerry a lot. Brian says, well, I can still defend myself. I just can't speak on the incident that happened because it was a the state initiated a no contact order for 4 weeks. I couldn't talk to her or see her for 4 weeks. I will say, though, it made me realize how much I love her, how much I miss her, how much I couldn't wait to be with her. You couldn't wait to see your wife and be with her and you missed her, but yet you were still putting your DICK in the other lady's vagina up until this year. So that makes sense. You miss your wife so much, but you were still out here with the mistress. Brian, knock it off. When I tell you I was too done, I was so done. They were all looking at him like, really? Andy had me gagged. Andy was like, if I found out that my husband put a tracking device on my car and he just sat there and held the cue cards up, they were all just like, Brian felt so dumb. I said, oh, Andy, you might have dropped the ball, but you were eating just a little bit, honey. The way you were gathering Brian up, I was here for it. So Andy's like, I'm looking at your face, Rulla. I feel like you're not over this. Rulla says, it's upsetting. I'm traumatized. Andy's like, how did you forgive him? Rulla says, well, I can't say that he's been forgiven. Rulla, why do you want to stay with the man that you can't forgive? Rulla, it's okay to divorce this man after he cheated on you. You can divorce him. You do know that, right? Why do you Who has the time to stay with a spouse that they cannot trust or forgive? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And like, I know that all the married folks have to say, oh, Brooke, you don't understand, you're not married. But I'm just like, it doesn't make sense. Like, I have sense and I have logic and reasoning. Why do you want to stay with your husband or your wife who broke their vows and now you can't even trust them, can't even look at them? You don't want to have sex with them. You don't want to do anything with them. Like, what's the point of staying? Like, I don't like, unless you guys are both destitute and a divorce is going to bankrupt the both of you. I can see if it's for financial reasons. But if you guys are both financially, doing well, what's the point of staying together? To say that you're married? Like, let me know. I just need some answers. I'm not understanding this logic. That's what it has to be. I'm married. No, she should leave. Peace is more important. Thank you. They're not divorced. They're not even married. Like, girl, get up. Joelen has all the evidence that Rula needs. You don't need to be married to have common sense. Thank you. That's why he was still cheating in 2026. He knows she's not leaving. I'm married. That's a big F no. Any married person putting up with that does not love themselves. I agree. I'm not married too, and I wouldn't stay with an unfaithful energy vampire. I agree. Isn't Rula the breadwinner? She is, if I had to guess. Annie's been pissed at the betrayal. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I think Rula is ego and maybe cultural. It has to be that. It has to be that. It really Rula's afraid of being alone. To be honest, I'm not even curious. Keep that thought process to yourself. Rula's cultural community keeps telling her to stay, and she listens. A mess. Not me, girl. Not me. A hot mess. Rula gives, at least I had his kids. Yes, and she does give that. She does give that, very much so. Andy goes on to ask, do you trust Brian? Rula says he needs to earn that trust back. It doesn't come overnight. It's going to take a long time. Who has the time? Who has good time to waste? God bless you, Rula. God bless. Andy says, you've come back from an arrest and a restraining order to salvage your marriage. You obviously feel like there's something that there's worth fighting for. It's nothing but ego and pride, because this makes no sense. I don't know what you're fighting for. You're fighting for scraps. This is very sad. Rula says, there's a lot of love between us since the beginning, and it was fractured and it hurts and it's painful every day. Brian says, every relationship goes through ups and downs. I want people to stop saying the ups and downs, and the downs are, why are the downs always cheating? Why are the downs? Downs are death. Someone's parents passed away. You're helping your spouse deal with grief. A down is a child, something happened to the child. Somebody has a health challenge, cancer, financial issues. You've lost your job, money problems. Ooh, that's also like, my God, But I digress. Those are downs. Cheating is not a down. That's divorce, in my opinion. Yes, cheating and abuse is not ups and downs. You're a deceiver, liar, and abuser. Thank you. Why are the downs of pits of hell? Thank you. Yes. Ups and downs are funerals, finances being funny, differences in parenting. Thank you. Not cheating, not infidelity. He goes on to say, the goal is for the family to stay together, and she's the glue. Why is it Rula's responsibility to keep the family together? You broke the family up when you stepped outside. How dare you? I want to go. Let's move on. I want to wrap this up. I'm emotionally exhausted. This second part took it out of me. I'm glad that it's over. Actually, it really took. I was really getting annoyed. I almost did not even give you this recap because that's how annoyed I was by watching the second part. I was really pissed. I really was. He goes on to say, just because somebody makes a series of sins against the other person doesn't mean you throw it away. It does mean you throw it away. I feel sorry for people who feel like. Let me move on. I'm not a pushover. I am the wrong person for that. I will leave in a heartbeat. I promise you that. I am a leaver. I am a lover and a leaver. I don't believe in turning the other cheek or, work it out. I'm leaving. I'm sorry. Probably why I'm not married now, because I'm leaving. I don't have the time. I have a great life. I'm not having it messed up because I'm with somebody legally. No thanks. A mess. A mess. How the audacity to say, You don't throw somebody away. You do throw somebody away. If somebody's violating you, if somebody's abusive in any way, cheating, you throw them away. What are we talking about? What are we saying? I agree. We see each other. It's not even worth it. Married folks will never understand, honey. Rule of law needs to be outside too. Blind eye, yada, yada, I'm good. You don't just throw it away. You kill it and leave it. Thank you. I don't stick around to be mistreated. I have people in my life that cherish me. Exactly. Eventually it will end. Brian seems to be in love with the other woman with the moves he's making. Child. Yeah, I'm a chooser of myself. Same here. Jesus paid it all. Why would I go through that? Exactly. He did not die on the cross for me to struggle in this lifetime and deal with a no good man. Exactly. I'll leave in 2.5 seconds. Thank you. Rula, so Rosie goes on to ask, so I just have to ask you, Rula, what are you going to do if he does this again? Rula can't even answer the question. She's like, oh, it won't happen again. He won't do it again. Rula, the man is still lying. How delusional are you to say that he's not going to do this again? Like, what are you like? What? I cannot stand desperate women. It drives me up the wall. It drives me insane for you to be so gullible and say that it's not going to happen again. God bless you. That's wishful thinking. That's like, I feel sorry for you. I love how Ashley whispered, you know that you're better than him, right? Like you deserve more than this. I was so happy she said that. And Brian heard her too. I said, good, you need to hear that. I was so happy Ashley said that, like, you're better than him. Just never forget that you're better than him. I was so happy. There is no saving her. He continued to do it. Babe, the man is a rat, not even a human. I agree. Rula does say that this is his last chance. If it happens again, there will be no forgiveness. All right, Rula. The way you're moving, I think that if he does do it again, you'll be right there with another excuse saying, well, I'll give him one more chance. So please. Ashley, you ate that one little thing. I agree. No, for real. I do. I'm gonna have a margarita after this because I was so aggravated. I was so aggravated. So now the husbands are off. Andy dismisses all the men. Ashley's like, Rula, are you okay? Rula says, no, I'm so tired of this. Rula, why do you want to stay in misery? That's what I want to know. Ashley says, I wanted to call Brian a slam pig. Rosie says, I get that you want to stick it out, but this is really hard to watch. So now the men are advising Brian backstage to tell Rula everything after this reunion is over. And he's not. Rosie starts saying, are you just finding out that he ended things in October? Rula says, yes. Rosie says, well, now that we hear from Joelen, it may have been Christmas. Rula says, he's an idiot and the mistress is a dumbass. I said, baby, that woman might be a dumbass, but she has your man in a chokehold. And your man is overly going a mess. The comment that Brian made backstage about, you should thank me for coming onto my show. Brian, just because you guys are the center of attention because of your cheating scandal, it is not your show. You are delusional. He's such a disgusting person. He's a sorry excuse for a man. Just really sad. Rula says there's so much more that can be uncovered about other people, and it's not. Rosie says, don't worry, more will be uncovered next year. It's clear that they're talking about Joelen. They're both gunning for Joelen. So now we're back with the final thoughts. Andy congratulates them for, a good season, a good reunion. He says, I want to know, what would you guys do differently? Ashley says, I would have been less nervous, more chatty, more vocal, and a mediator. Rosie says, I wouldn't have asked Kelsey if she were polygamous. Hopefully we can be in the same room together and be cool. Kelsey says, I would like that too. She says, from my point of view, it's hard making friends with somebody on a TV show. Rosie, if you're sincere about wanting to be friends, we have to hang out off camera. Rosie says, I agree. Sounds good. Kelsey, girl, stop. You don't like that girl. You're jealous of her. Please stop. Rula says, I would have shut things down sooner. You need help. You need help. Like, I'm done with you, Rula. You need help. Joelen says she probably would have changed the way she went towards Rula about the whole affair. She would have done it privately. And she would have been a better mediator and had Liz's back. Liz says, I would have tried to control, react, police, and care less. Liz, your final thought made no sense. I said, I don't know what that meant. I said, whatever that means. God bless, though. Alicia says, I wish I wore more makeup on camera. She has a scar on her face. A dog bit her. Andy was like, that's it. That's what she would have done differently. He was over it. They're toasting with dirty Shirley's. It's a Shirley Temple with vodka. Liz presents Andy with a mask. She says, you're our king of Rhode Island. Alicia leads the toast. She thanks Andy for the opportunity, and that's where they end the part 2. And we are officially done with season 1 of Rhode Island, honey. Baby, let me tell you something. This second part took it out of me. This second part took, literally, Dusty's from the Himalayas. I'm exhausted. Something back from whence they came. Brian and Kelsey and all of them. I'm talking stuff because I was raised in Islamic countries as a U.S. diplomat's daughter. I've seen it on West African countries. Rula ain't going nowhere. This woman has money but stays. Why? Child, 10 out of 10, part 2. Babe, when I tell you, won't he do it? Won't the mask that Liz gave Andy was nice too? Yeah, it was. I do need a drink. I'm getting a margarita after. Brooke, you said it was so good. I loved it. It should. Yes. I feel like we didn't get anything from Liz. Liz did not get a segment. Liz and Ashley did not get segments because they condensed it. They should have given us 3 parts because I wanted to hear more in depth about what was the deal in Liz and Gerry's marriage. Why did they separate so many times? How many times did they separate in their marriage? Was it due to cheating? Why was he gone 9 months out the year sports fishing? When did he pick that up? Ashley, how is Audrey's doing as a business? How is your marriage doing? Is it still suffering? Are you still crying? Is he coming home more? Like when I tell you, I was just, child, I'm not missing Ashley's segment. The second part was, wow, we got a lot from this live. We did, honey. We would have been less, yes. We would have been less exhausted if they did 3 parts. I agree. Because it was so much. I mean, both parts were like this. It was literally a fight. We got 2 words at Ashley the entire time. Is Liz leaving the show? Apparently, according to the blogs, they need you to take over from there. I would love to. I would ask all the questions that need to be asked. Oh my gosh. Oh yes, Love Island comes on at 9, honey. I need to make my dinner. I have my salmon already seasoned up. So you are asking the right questions. So when I tell you I was so annoyed that they did not ask Liz and Gerry about the marriage. I was really irritated by that. Yes. Hey, Ace, thank you for the super chat. The downs are always at the expense of the wife. Always. I'm tired of it. Hey, that girl from yonder, thank you for the super chat. Rula survey says you are the mistress. Yes, honey. Hey, Donna Ferg, thank you for the super chat. Y'all think Brian meant Jeezy, not Jesus? God's sick of him. Hey, Gina Golden, thank you for the super chat. Brian's been microdosing GLP-1s, whatever else, too often, honey. Ace, thank you for the super chat. Brian said, still I rise. Hey, Biomiss, thank you for the super chat. This is the type of slothful and lazy that's talked about in the Bible with Alicia. Yes. Hey, Biomiss, thank you for the super chat. At least I don't think Alicia's pretending like Wendy and Kelly are with his soft life. Yeah, I agree with that. She's just dumb and is frankly insulting to her family, like pretending he's financially abusing her. I agree. Hey, BK Rachel, thank you for the super chat. Kelsey's boyfriend is present. Now is Gerald coming? Probably not. Gerald's going to call out sick like always. Hey, Traveling Trails Nature, thank you for the super chat. I can't. Hey, that girl from yonder, thank you for the super chat. They had me cackling for this reunion, honey. Baby, when I tell you, oh my gosh, this reunion was a fool. Movie night is going to eat tonight. Oh, it's about to eat down, honey. It's giving Liz is going to be a Kyle Richards where they'll ask her things that she wants to talk about. Yes, it is giving that. Yeah, I talked about it earlier in the recap. Y'all, I got to catch up on Love Island. Oh yes, honey. You know, when I tell you, honey, I have my salmon and sweet potato already set. I'm so hungry, y'all. Baby, when I tell you this reunion took it all out of me, my appetite is like, I am going to chow down, have my margarita. I need a drink, girl. I'm just like, oh, Lord. Yes, you have your salmon and sweet potato. Yes, honey, my salmon and sweet potato gang is with me tonight when I get from this here gym. Yes, honey. Listen, y'all, tonight was really wonderful. Thank you for that recap, Brooke. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Movie night is I'm going to take you out too, honey. Oh, I'm exhausted, honey. Dinner time got here quick AF. My girl needs to eat. We got to go. Y'all, I will see y'all for, maybe we'll do a Hot Topics live. Now, y'all, if there is no Hot Topics live, I will see you all next week. We'll just do a whole bunch of Hot Topics. We can catch up on Love Island, do Hot Topics. If I don't see you anymore this week, have a wonderful holiday, July 4th weekend, and we will talk soon, okay? But enjoy your evening, y'all. I had a great time talking to y'all. Babe, when I tell you, we ate down. Now, guys, don't forget, the live show is 17 days away. I cannot believe that we are 2.5 weeks out from the live show. Make sure to buy your tickets if you have not already. It's going to be at the Green Room 42. I am hosting my own live show. We will have special guests in the building. 9:30 p.m. on a Friday night. It's going to be lit, honey. We're going to be talking and having a good old time. I have some Bravo tea to tell y'all. We have some kitchen table talk to talk about, because we're going to talk. All right. Yes, you saw my photo shoot, honey. Yes, so my photo shoot. I did my photo shoot, honey. Listen. We are doing it big for this live show, honey. But y'all, I will see you all. If I don't see you tomorrow, I will see you all next week, okay? But have a wonderful, the description, the link to buy tickets is in the description box below, y'all. But I love y'all down. I will see you all later. Have a great rest of your evening, okay? Bye, guys.